Wait, hold on a second. Brian Callen wants me to let you know, patreon.com/Brian Callen.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Brian Callen. Brian with a Y because he's got to be different.
BRYANCALLEN.
Love that
Smug
guy.
son of a bitch. Yeah, you know what? I will
He's
say
the
this. I will
best.
say this about
He's
Brian
so
Callen.
good.
Brian Callen, people need to know this. Brian Callen is suing the husband of the woman who accused him of rape. Now, why
Rightfully
isn't he
so.
suing her? For the same reason she couldn't file any charges, because there's no evidence. But he does have evidence that the husband, based on entirely baseless claims, has been losing work for him. Brian Callen, I spoke with him. This is what I will say about Brian Callen. I spoke with him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I said, Brian, did you do it? He said, no, I did not. I said, did you do anything like this? He said, no, I worked with that girl for years after this rape accusation. I can show you the proof that we worked together. I did not do it. I will argue this. I said, okay, Brian, I'm going to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And in no uncertain terms, I don't care if your lawyers say don't discuss this. I'm going to ask you, did you do it? Are you a rapist? That's the only way I will have you on my show. He said, absolutely. And I said, Brian, if you lie to me, if you make a fool of me, every tool that I have at my disposal that I'm using to defend your reputation, I will turn against you. And Brian Callen said, I understand, and he marched out. Brian Callen is and you know what? Brian Callen has some powerful friends in high places. They didn't stand up for him.
Yeah.
They didn't stand up for him. For the same reason that we have Alex Jones on, even if he's drunk off his ass yesterday.
That's the best
And he
version
was.
of Alex
is
Jones.
just because
though.
I hate seeing people mob somebody. I hate.
Can I
the doggy
throw
pile.
out my girl card for a second
Yeah.
on that? As a woman,
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Comma.
I'm going there. We tend to want to avoid creeps who make us feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So if you're saying somebody raped me and then continue working with that person for the next few years,
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. No, so do I.
Yeah.
Typically speaking. Yeah, and this is a good example too, that happened with Clarence Thomas, with Anita Hill.
Yeah.
Anita Hill that's the perfect example, is with Clarence Thomas, people don't remember this. Clarence Thomas, what he did do, what they could prove, right? They tried to say that he was a porn addict. They tried to say that he talked about
these other
bestiality, all this
things.
stuff. The only thing they could prove was that he had a Diet Coke can. And I remember because he said, there was an eyelash. He said, who put their
what is
short
this?
and curly on the Coke can? Who put a pube on the Coke can?
Little joke.
And that makes me go, I want to party with Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
You guys got a sense of humor. And it wasn't, they tried to frame it as though it was her word against his. No, it was Anita Hill, I wanted to say Dunn, Anita Hill's word against not only Clarence Thomas, against not only all of the records, the financial records and all the communication records, but every other woman who's ever worked for Clarence Thomas. So when they say trust women, they mean just trust their women, because it was literally one.
Yeah.
Right.
One.
And they don't tend to tell that story. They tend to just talk in general terms about a sexually charged environment or something
Right.
like that, just to make it sound like he's a total perv and was grabbing women.
Oh, which, by the way, hey, can someone look this up? Anita Dunn, I hadn't heard her name in a while, but she, no, Anita Dunn.
Oh.
Because I confused them. Anita Dunn, I don't know if she's the campaign manager for Biden. Can someone bring this up? Because Anita Dunn, we can find this clip. She's the one who said that she looked to Mao for inspiration.
Really?
Yes. So let's find Anita Dunn. Is she, someone can maybe send me in chat, is she the campaign manager for the Biden campaign? What is she? Is she a proxy? Anita Dunn. And then someone can find the clip. Just type in Anita Dunn Mao, because I remember talking about it on either with Lanny Davis or Doug Schoen when I was on Fox News. And I think it was Lanny Davis. And he said, Anita Dunn didn't say that. And then we rolled the clip. And then it smelled like poop.
Yeah, she was a senior advisor to Joe Biden's.
A senior advisor to Joe Biden. So she has his ear.
Wow.
And now let's see if we can
Mao.
find that clip. Anita Dunn Mao. I remember this is from maybe 8 years ago. The clip is something to the effect of, when I'm down or something, I look to inspiration of to history's great words spoken by Mao. And she quoted Mao, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure we can find this and we can grab that clip in a little bit.
I think we've got
I
it.
remember it.
Oh,
and
we
I
do?
remember thinking
Yeah.
she had a weird affect.
Okay, this is Anita Dunn, senior advisor. Senior advisor to the Joe Biden campaign, lest you think that it's going to be business as usual if Biden's president. Here's Anita Dunn.
You have a great deal of ability. A lot of you work hard, put them together, and that answers the why not question. There's usually not a good reason. And then the third lesson,
the
and
multimedia
tip,
marketplace.
actually come from two of my favorite political philosophers,
Oh, yeah, it's even worse.
Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa.
Whoa.
Not often coupled with each
Little
other.
yin and yang there.
Grabian.
But
A little giggle from the
That's
audience.
enough. That's enough.
Oh, yikes.
She said one of my favorite political philosophers, Mao.
How many dead is that?
And then this Indian nun lady.
Yeah,
Dead?
the Venn
Or is it higher
diagram for
than that?
Mao.
Millions.
The
Oh,
Venn
it's higher
diagram
than
for
that.
Mao
Oh,
and Mother Teresa do not intersect
No, no.
at all.
So this
Now,
is,
Not
I
even
think-
close.
Yeah, but depends if you add Pol Pot.
That's right,
They
that's-
still don't intersect. It's just
That's the
it's just
higher one.
Pol Pot. It's really just two circles. It's Mao and Pol Pot, and then a separate circle, Mother Teresa.
Yeah, it's like Pluto and
Yeah.
the sun.
And then there's one third. There's a third circle, but it's actually just a word bubble with Mother Teresa saying, "Don't let me in with that shit."
No.
They're not even close.
so we have some breaking news. The Trump campaign is filing a suit in Michigan.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so they said that they haven't been provided with
It's the Trump
meaningful
train.
access to numerous counting locations to observe the opening of ballots and the counting process is guaranteed by Michigan law. We filed suit today in the Michigan Court of Claims to halt counting until meaningful access has been granted.
Yeah.
So they also want to review the ballots, and they, end by saying that Trump is committed to ensuring that all the legal votes are counted.
And anyone who wants to say, "Oh, this is trying to erode trust in institutions," I don't remember them complaining when it was Al Gore.
And can you blame them for all the irregularities not to trust the
Yeah, how can you? I mean, I don't understand. The thing to me that is most bizarre is they stopped counting while Donald Trump was winning, and then they started again an hour later.
Yeah.
CNN has called Wisconsin for Biden.
Oh, really? They called Wisconsin for Biden. Well, that's a surprise.
I don't know what we have or if any. Like,
Yeah, do we have what? Can we
that's
bring up
interesting.
the? Is it decision desk? Let's see. Is
Now, Wisconsin, I will say let's see here. Wisconsin had said that all of its votes were counted and that Biden had won a little earlier, but they still had not tabulated all the totals on these sites. So that was a kind of strange discrepancy. We were waiting to see.
Right.
So that's not exactly a surprise.
right? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Here, looking.
Looks like there's still a 20,000 vote gap, and they're 5% not reporting. So 95%.
5% not reporting. Well, that seems a little premature, but I don't know. I have no idea what the county is. I'm not going to say that there's no way.
It'll be
But the
interesting,
Kenosha thing is weird.
Yeah.
That can affect it there in Wisconsin. Again,
Right.
the Kenosha. Does anyone? Is there an explanation? Can anyone find? Maybe you can tell me in chat or on Twitter. Tweet me at @scrowder. Does anyone have an explanation for why in the same county, Kenosha, 2 hours later, it flipped so drastically? I haven't seen any valid explanation at all.
Well, and I mean that's why Trump has already requested a recount, right?
In Wisconsin?
It doesn't. Yes. So that was. I already forgot that somehow. But no, Trump has already requested a recount, and that was so. They said, okay, we think this is going for Biden, and then Trump said, I'm requesting a recount. So that was why we marked it back as undecided. And so I think we'll just have to see how that recount goes.
Well, listen, comes down to this. Does Biden win Pennsylvania? That's really what it comes
still
down to,
tossed up.
because it doesn't matter if he wins Arizona. It doesn't matter if he wins Michigan. Like I said in Wisconsin, remember I was saying this last night. If Joe Biden wins Minnesota, not enough. If he wins Wisconsin, not enough. If he wins Michigan, not enough. He still needs to win Pennsylvania. If Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, and of course he holds steady in Georgia and North Carolina, he still wins.
Yeah.
And I think that Donald Trump actually won Michigan. I genuinely believe that he won Michigan. Wisconsin, I wasn't necessarily sure about, but looking at the numbers that we have,
Yeah.
okay, gun to your head. Who do you think actually won Michigan?
So that's interesting because I have an article from the Detroit News pulled up, and they're saying there's about 100,000 absentee votes that have yet to be counted. And
Wayne County.
They're from Democrat strongholds.
Right.
So
That's what they're saying.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
that's what they're saying. But didn't we also talk about how they've got other Republican counties that haven't reported in yet?
Yeah, and they're not as big. But again, I think, they could be surprised by Wayne County because Donald Trump's been out punting his coverage there with black voters.
Interesting.
And particularly in Wayne County, again, because not only do you have black Americans, but you have a lot of black Americans who work in American manufacturing, and they stand to gain the most from Donald Trump's policies. So let me tell you, like this is why they're not a monolith in the sense that a black American who's in D.C. right now, burning something down, is very different from a black American who's working on the Ford assembly line. And a black American who's working on the Ford assembly line or the GM assembly line, or a black American who's working somewhere in manufacturing in Michigan, or also, by the way, a lot of people don't understand there is oil, there is energy in Michigan as well, not as much as Pennsylvania. That is someone who is probably very likely to lean Trump, considering not very likely to lean Trump, but considering that Donald Trump has approval of 30-something% of black Americans. He has 46% job approval. I think a big part of those black Americans who have shifted that number toward Trump probably more of them would be working Black Americans in the Midwest, I would imagine, as opposed to maybe some people in California who aren't working in the manufacturing sector. Black Americans in big tech probably not supporting Donald Trump. Black Americans who are professional protesters probably not supporting Donald Trump. But Black Americans who are feeding their families in the Midwest working a labor job, that's a 50-50 shot.
One state that we haven't really
America
talked about that probably is going to go red is Alaska. And for some reason, they
it's
haven't
definitely
called
red.
But they haven't called that one. That one seems a little curious. I don't know why.
I think Alaska is one of the most red states in the union, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure. Yeah, it just seems odd that nobody's called it.
I would imagine it takes a while to count them because they have to send
just
their
so spread out.
results
Yeah.
by sled dogs.
It's
Cuba
40
Gooding Jr. has
Yeah, he's retired, so
Yeah.
how are they going to
man.
get the results
We're
in?
gonna get there.
But it just goes to that trend of them
One
not
last.
wanting to call even guaranteed states for Trump.
Yeah. No,
It's a demoralizing campaign that they're running.
what's going on in Nevada?
And
Do we know
they've
that
called
right now?
Hawaii.
It's close. Nevada's really close.
Really? Nevada, because that could be a surprise. If he wins Nevada, that changes. Well, I really don't think it changes much. If he wins Nevada, let's do this for a second. If he wins Nevada and Arizona, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, it still doesn't give him enough, I don't think, does it? Give him Nevada, Arizona, Alaska,
CNN's talking about Nevada right now.
okay,
there's some
Georgia,
counties.
and
They've got, like,
North
2
Carolina.
counties
No, it's still
going
not
for
enough.
Trump.
So it doesn't really matter. So let's take them off, obviously, the map.
away
Well,
North
don't turn them blue.
I'm
yeah.
getting sad.
We'll take them off, and Alaska. I'm going to call Alaska red. I'm going to call Alaska
That's
red.
easy.
I don't
Okay.
care. Call Alaska red. We're going to do the media's job for them.
Yeah, Alaska is Trump is up over 30 points. It's only 45% reporting, but I don't
Yeah.
think.
Well, to
by the-
finish that in Alaska, that's like 4 more votes.
I gotta wait
Yeah,
for
no,
the
I
Inuit
think
vote though.
I think doesn't Trump need more than just Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania?
No, not if he has West Virginia. That's what people. Because you know why? I didn't fill that map out yesterday. So
Yeah.
look at this.
Is it-
Is West Virginia, when
Yeah.
I auto-filled 270 to win, it hits restore map, it had West Virginia, I think, either not filled in or had West Virginia filled in for Biden.
Yeah.
So when you put West Virginia in the camp of Donald Trump, if he gets Georgia, North Carolina, he has that main second congressional district.
Right.
The second district, it puts him directly at 270 if he
Yes,
gets Pennsylvania.
essentially, we're watching 3 states for Trump mainly, and it would be a guaranteed thing if it was Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia.
Right.
Those are the 3, and Michigan and Wisconsin would be a bonus.
Right.
Those
Those would be
Arizona
nice.
would be
Yeah.
a bonus.
They'd be
Nevada would a bonus.
nice.
Right. But yeah, if Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania all go, that would be 270 on the dot.
Right. 270.
Right. It's that second main district that is.
Which has already, I think, been called for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that changes it. Like I was saying, that was an important electoral vote, just that one, and a lot of people were overlooking it because that gave Donald Trump different paths to victory.
Now maybe my math is wrong. I'm still just getting.
Yeah,
260
let's
I'm just
do
getting
a double check.
268.
Yeah, let's do a double check.
Hold on, this is the thing that Wade gave me, and he was so
Did I mess
sure
something
about
up? Yeah.
Wade's great at the singing, though. Is he so great at the numbers?
it. Did you give
Hopefully
all
we checked.
5 of
I can count
Nebraska?
to 4 over and over.
No, I think you gave him 4 of the Nebraska votes, which is correct. Let me see here if we fill this in. Someone bring
We'll
up
look
Jake Tapper here while I look at
take
this.
a
I'm gonna
look.
look at 270 to
that
win really
Donald
quickly.
Trump completely busted 4 years ago. And we know how worried
Okay, hold on a second.
the Trump campaign is about Wisconsin, just based on what they're already doing, what their position is, how they're poised to say that they want to recount already. We should note, and I think John mentioned this earlier, but that the only way that a recount can formally be asked for is when the canvassing is complete, meaning the vote counting is complete. That's November 17th. So
Yeah,
they're
there's
signaling
something.
that
I
they're
think
gonna
there
do
is
it. It
something
doesn't
wrong here because I'm
necessarily
getting
mean it's going to
268
happen
with that.
Okay.
based on what
How did
else
you fill
happens
this in
across
right
these
here?
battlegrounds.
We should also say that it is completely within the Trump campaign's right
Yeah.
to request a recount. I mean, if they
Absolutely.
want to do that,
Hey, good for
they
Tapper.
can, and nobody should think that there's anything untoward going on. Campaigns can ask for recounts.
Nice,
Especially
nice
when
use
it's
of
tight, because
untoward.
let me just say,
Okay.
4
He's
years
only
ago,
saying that because
What are
he-
you seeing there,
Wisconsin
Reg?
left the
I'm
door
saying if
open.
he gets Pennsylvania, he still needs something else. And that could either come the way of Nevada or Arizona or Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I think his most likely path to victory is through Arizona and Pennsylvania. At this point, it's just kind of how I'm feeling, or Michigan, Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. Where did you get this 270? I'm trying to see where you got this
I
270
don't know.
map.
I don't know.
Show
I must
your
have
work,
clicked something wrong.
guys. Come on.
Yeah, show your work.
Basic in math.
So-
270 to win did it for me.
Oh my gosh, this is what math teachers warned us
But I don't
about.
understand what it is that you did. You must have some
It's a
other state-
calculator, yeah.
Yeah.
This makes Maine. Did you give more than with Maine? Did you? Oh, maybe you entered in the wrong Maine district.
Oh.
Yeah, on your map, isn't Maine just all one color?
No, on this it has
Can't
red and blue.
I can't see that
Yeah,
far.
here, I can give you this map here.
Throw it as like
I
a
don't know how
paper
to
airplane.
fold a paper airplane.
What kind of childhood do you have? You don't know how to
Wow,
fold
you
an
don't-
paper
They
airplane.
don't have paper
I
airplanes
wasn't
in
I
more.
Canada.
I wasn't a
so
thrower
many-
of paper airplanes. I was a receiver of spitballs.
I have so many things
not
to say to
mutually
Darren
exclusive.
after this call.
Well, in my case, you know what? I didn't fight back. Sorry.
That you
What's
just
that
folded
kind
that 3 times. in
I
the
don't know. If I wanted to be able to throw it a little bit better.
that kind of threw it like a girl.
Yeah. So I don't know if, if
Yeah.
you're correct here,
okay.
Audio Wait. I have no
All right, I
idea
must
where
have
he's
missed
getting
something.
that, but
I might have missed something. I don't know. What happens?
what is happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Either way, he needs to win. He needs to win Pennsylvania and something else.
Is CNN one of the only ones calling Wisconsin at this point, or is that a pretty widespread
projecting it,
belief
yeah,
that
so-
yeah, it says CNN projects, but and it sounds like they're arguing for it. Like it sounds like they're having to make a case
Right.
that what they said was the right call.
Yeah.
So it seems like it might be an uphill battle, or like at least in the minority.
I don't know, but I know they called Arizona, so I don't trust them any further than I can throw them in their
Yeah.
stupid little shoulder pads. looking like Dolph Lundgren's wife in Rocky IV.
Oh,
Bridget Nielsen looking motherfuckers. I don't understand why everyone at CNN yesterday decided they were going to wear shoulder pads. So you see that map?
Full evil.
I
It
think
looks.
yeah.
I don't know how it would be. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Stephen, I think when you get tired, the reference count goes up.
Yeah, maybe it does. That's all.
Dolph
That's here.
Lundgren's
It's
wife.
automatic.
And it gets increasingly more vague.
But
yeah.
I will tell you this: some people saying, "Well, should we fight in the courts?" Yes, I absolutely believe that these should fight in the courts. If people decided to extend the deadlines and people wanted to have more mail-in voting than ever before, and we see all of these inconsistencies in Wisconsin and in Michigan, absolutely, you fight this in the courts. Yep. No problem. Is that inconsistent? No, it's not inconsistent at all. Not at all. And especially when you take into account what's at stake here, because we're not just talking about a peaceful transfer of power. There already is no peaceful transfer of power. I think we have a clip, right, of someone who was already being attacked yesterday in D.C. We know that Elijah is down there. And if Elijah wants to come in, if he has anything that's going on currently, he can let us know.
We have that clip.
But we do have that clip. This was in D.C., I believe, where people were already being attacked last night. This is nothing's even been called. And they're attacking. That is attacking to get your way. That is using violence to intimidate voters to relinquishing their rights to you. Let's show this clip really quickly.
Whoa, 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 hey! Black Lives Matter over here.
It's not a good time to chant the slogan.
Hey!
I think that's going to make them stop.
Hey guys, stop it.
This is already happening in D.C.
mostly peaceful.
Let's say Black Lives Matter. That's like someone vomiting uncontrollably and someone going, "Oh, you okay, buddy? Eat fresh." Subway. Don't shut the slogan there. Wow.
No,
Yeah.
he tried to stab you.
They stabbed me. They stabbed me.
She seems. I gotta tell you, she's
looks
amazingly
ethnic.
composed for being stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
She was.
she
It was.
get
It was.
stabbed?
It was almost like someone hit her with a like the clothespin went loose or something on one of her
She's tough.
sleeves.
She's
And
like, I got stabbed. What?
someone
Yeah,
stabbed me.
someone stabbed.
Shoot.
Shit.
Now I gotta go to the emergency room and shit. That's inconvenient as fuck.
it's true.
I got things to do. I got to get these nails did.
You can say that, but I
Yeah.
can't. It is. So there's nothing really going on. What paths to victory? They're saying Biden has 4 and Donald Trump has 1. Oh no, they're just doing the little hypotheticals here.
Moving the shit
They
around.
still have Arizona filled in. They still have Arizona filled in for Biden, and they don't have Alaska filled in. This is what people need to be taking note of with CNN. And I don't know what's going on with any other streams out there, if there's anything that I'm missing,
Right.
but this is what you need to pay attention to with CNN. Look, they have Michigan blue, but they also have Alaska blue. They also have Nevada blue, and they don't have Alaska red.
Well, I think actually at the bottom they have their official called states, that little bitty tiny USA down there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this is their speculation, the big giant one, so they could make all the ones blue that they want.
Ooh, Nevada's within 0.5%.
Yeah, it's a squeaker.
Whoa.
Now, a couple of things. We've got
Only 8,000 votes in Nevada right now. Do we know which counties are yet to come in? Because that could be big.
On Fox, they mentioned that there may be voter fraud in Nevada. There were reports of culinary workers who don't live there any longer receiving mail-in ballots.
Oh, I've got some stories about that.
And then we've also got the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party tweeted out that the state headquarters are monitoring reports from county tabulation centers. There are problems with Republican and other public observers being allowed to view the tabulation and canvass. And Fulton County told their observers, you need to go home, we're closing up. And then they continued counting ballots in secret. And that might be why we saw, this like weird thing where the vote slows down. And then you think, well, it's 3 a.m., I'm going to bed. And then they start counting again.
Can someone bring up the polls for Nevada? Because I don't think there was a single Nevada poll that had Trump ahead. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember them having Biden ahead by 4, 6, 7. So the fact that it's within less than a percentage of the margin of error.
Yeah.
If someone can bring that. But I'll tell you this about the culinary union. And I have a direct experience with this because for a while I was involved in trying to get MMA, mixed martial arts, legalized in New York. And I did a video on this. And the reason that mixed martial arts wasn't legalized in New York, it's an interesting story, was because entirely of the culinary union. This is what happened. In Nevada, the Fertitta brothers and Dana White, they owned the UFC, okay? They owned the biggest non-union gaming casinos in all of Nevada. And the culinary union wanted to get their guys in there, but the Fertittas and Dana White said no. And so what happened was the culinary union used their influence, because they have a lot of influence in New York State, to keep MMA from coming into that state.
Strong
the UFC had some actual spreadsheets that showed that if they were to hold an event, and now we've seen this because they've held several events at Madison Square Garden, that it would bring anywhere from $50 to like $80 million in revenue with one event to New York City. And I did a video on this, and if I want to say was it Sheldon Silver? There was a representative who really was adamantly opposed to MMA in New York when he was asked, because there was no accountability. He said, the reason I'm opposed to mixed martial arts is because it's violent. I was doing a local radio show in Albany, New York. This might have been in 2009, 2010. That's how I met Chael Sonnen. That's how I met Pat Miletich, a few of these fighters, because I was involved in trying to get MMA legalized in New York. And really, it was a vehicle to expose the corruption and the influence of the culinary union. This guy who was a representative in New York, I can't remember, I want to say it's Sheldon something or Sheldon Silver, something like that. He called in to the radio show in Albany, New York, not knowing who I was, trying to get on the campaign trail as to why MMA should be illegal in New York. And I said, hey, Sheldon, what's your relation with the culinary union? He said, I don't know why that's relevant. I said, haven't they fundraised for a majority of your campaigns? And he got really, really quiet. And then I said, don't you support football? Do you know about the CTE issues with football? What about hockey? And this guy got really quiet. He was just so out of touch, and he was entirely funded by the culinary union. He called into a local radio show in Albany. I guess maybe he was in some kind of a state session. So the culinary union, you want to talk about corruption? The culinary union had the ability to keep a sport out of the state of New York for over a decade simply because of a vendetta against people who owned casinos in Nevada. And didn't use the culinary union.
Well,
the culinary union are very, very powerful, and they of course work with the steelworkers unions and a lot of these other, as well as public sector unions. So
you asked about Nevada polling. Looks like they had Biden ahead by 5.3.
By 5.3.
Yeah, that was.
Can we bring up the RCP polls, where it actually shows the different polls, because I think it's even more so than just the charts. That's the rolling average. I think it's important to see. Did Quinnipiac quit your day job? I think there were some polls, if I'm not mistaken, that had Biden up by like 8 or 9, if I'm not mistaken, in Nevada. So again, polls are dead. Yeah. The old pollsters should die. I don't mean they should die physically. I mean, listen, I hope they go off into the sun and have a nice retirement. Unless you owe the culinary union some money, and then you get a nice lead pipe to the head. But I do think that these pollsters need to go away, because it's not, again, Donald Trump outperforming those polls by 5 points at least. But he's certainly outperforming the Monmouth and the Quinnipiac polls. These polls were so wrong again. And let me ask you one other thing, okay? This is also why I think we need to fight in the courts. You look at YouTube. Okay, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, you look at these hearings. Okay, we've been throttled on Facebook for a long time now because of fake news, simply for actually talking about the CDC, simply for saying there actually is no study that shows your homemade cotton mask is effective at all. All of the studies that we have are made with surgical masks, disposable masks, or double-layered masks that have been washed in a commercial hospital washing machine. I believe that was the issue, and that the World Health Organization said lockdowns don't work.
It was I can tell you what it is, but not right now. But
Okay, it doesn't matter. But anyways, it was one of those things.
It was something that was, it was a direct status update that I copied from a tweet of yours, which it was
Right.
not any way controversial.
No, it wasn't controversial at all.
Facebook, it was good news, in
Right.
fact. And Facebook took it down. They said, "Oh, we've notified you." That's bullshit.
Right.
And then they said we violated community standards
Right.
and threatened to deplatform us.
By the way, keep in mind, leading up to this election, all good news violated Facebook's community standards.
Yeah.
Hey, good employment numbers violates
Look at
community
that.
standards. Hey, actually, it turns out that the herd immunity might be a lower percentage than we thought. Violates community standards. Hey, it turns out that you actually don't need to have lockdowns. Violates community standards. Hey, it turns out that the mortality rate is actually 0.1%. Violates community standards. So we look at Facebook, YouTube. So we had that with Facebook, where we were throttled on Facebook simply by informing people with information from the CDC and World Health Organization. By the way, we were throttled on Facebook. How many other people did that happen with? On YouTube, videos that criticize gender theory from Bill Nye, that criticize the Quran, that criticize AR-15 myths. Those were all of a sudden silenced and throttled, not because they had anything directly to do with the election, but because they were a conservative opinion expressed. Twitter saying we will not allow Donald Trump to claim victory in any of these elections, right? Twitter saying that they've been throttling Donald Trump for saying, hey, what's going on here about the potential voter discrepancies going on in Michigan. So what do you think this election would look like? And Donald Trump has still outperformed these polls by an average, I think, of 7 points now. What would it look like with a fair press? You know what? What would it look like with big tech companies that aren't beholden to communist China? What would this election look like? Think about this. The fact that it is even close when you have Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, New York Times, everyone, obviously, supporting and spreading, ironically, misinformation. What do you think this election would look like if we just had the kind of press that people think they're getting? It wouldn't even be close.
Yeah. Well, here are the numbers on the RCP average in
Nevada.
Nevada.
Okay, let's bring those
it
up
looks like
really
it was
quickly.
only two of them had Trump up.
And what
Only
do you
two. Yeah,
notice
look.
about
You have
this?
Biden plus 8, Biden plus 7, Biden plus 6, Biden plus 6,
Biden plus
and then
11.
Then all of a sudden, Biden plus 11. But then all of a sudden, right up to election day, they tighten.
Now, what was interesting to me is people say, "Oh, well, that poll looks good for Trump, but it's from Fox News." The three worst polls on there are Fox News polls.
Yeah.
The plus 11, the plus 7, the plus 8. So yeah, some pollsters are really getting things badly wrong repeatedly. The New York Times, Siena, they're an A+ rated pollster, and they have been getting things off by like 10 points.
Yeah, it is. It really is staggering as to how bad they are. I'll tell you what. In any other line of work, guess what? If it's a line of work where it's consequential, right? Your numbers. I don't know. Let's say you're a sniper, and you're a few degrees off. You don't take into account the windage. You're dead. Let's just say, I don't know, you're working with uranium. You're dead. You know what? Let's just say that I, right here, was off. We were throttled on Facebook for simply quoting the CDC and the World Health Organization. Yeah. What if I cited a number, by the way, that was 10 points off? I don't know, let's say in Michigan, the final results.
Oh, right.
If it favored Biden, you would have been okay.
Right. What if I, though, claimed that there were another 120,000 votes? They're going to go for Donald Trump. I lose my right to speak. I lose my Facebook. I lose my YouTube. I use my Twitter. We always have to be so right. Because there's so much accountability, because everyone is gunning for, again, in the big, powerful corporations, for people who have opinions like ours. They're just aching for a reason for us to be wrong. The very first time I remember being fact-checked, before this was a daily show, do you remember it was Snopes and it was the rape pamphlets?
Yes.
In
Germany.
Cologne, Germany.
Yeah.
Cologne, Germany. During, was it New Year's? I think it was New Year's. Cologne, Germany, New Year's, or was it, I think it was New Year's.
I think it was New Year's because they had all kinds of people gathering, as you do.
And so what happened was they were passing out, there was a story at loudwithcrowder.com, they were passing out please do not rape pamphlets because there was such a rape epidemic that they actually passed out pamphlets showing people, if you were a migrant, how to not rape women. And this actually happened. These pamphlets were distributed. There was a rape epidemic in Cologne, Germany. Snopes rated it either as mostly false or whatever. They fact-checked us saying, these pamphlets were distributed, but they weren't printed for this event. They had already been in circulation. They just printed more for Cologne. Well, we didn't say that those pamphlets were created for Cologne. We just said that please don't. The fact that please do not rape pamphlets need to exist at all is kind of alarming.
That was our point.
Right. But can you imagine? So imagine that when we were right, they fact check it.
Yeah.
I am
Because
picturing
most-
a guy. Yeah, I'm picturing a guy reading the pamphlet and going, "Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
so my
old
my
content.
penis doesn't go here; it stays here. This is why I have pocket in my pants. Now I understand. At first I was wondering why pants at all.
Didn't even the pamphlet have
Pictures.
the skin tone?
Yes, it has
Of
skin tone
the-
of it has
of the
skin,
rapist
It has skin
and
tone
the-
of a brown man
Yeah.
like this, like hey, yeah, she likes it.
Over a pale.
Yeah, over a pale,
Yeah.
over a pale Germanic broad.
That was.
Yeah, I don't know if we can bring this. Maybe someone can even bring this up. Snopes fact checks. Bring up Snopes, their fact check of Louder with Crowder. Not that it matters with this election, but it just shows you how cautious we have had to be for so long. And they can be wrong by, an extra 0 on the votes. They can be wrong by calling a state that they may have gotten wrong entirely, and certainly too early to call the states. It's not just about the bias that you see in the media. It is about a lack of accountability from all of their friends in the media. This idea that Mark Zuckerberg, because he hosted a meeting with a couple of conservatives, by the way, I've never been invited, that for some reason he's meeting with people on the right and reaching across the aisle. No, that's not the case. It's if you play perfectly, if you get everything right and there's no margin for error, we are not allowed to make mistakes. What we are looking at right now are mistakes of monumental proportions from all legacy media. And by the way, the polling, most of these polls, they're directly associated with legacy media. Was it ABC News, Washington Post? Right? Isn't that one NBC? Is it NBC News Marist or is it NBC Reuters? But the point is, where's the accountability for their mistakes, for their polls, and then for calling states? None at all. So this is what I ask you. Imagine if there were just a balanced press. And I don't even want a balanced press. Listen, we all know the people in Silicon Valley. We all know where they line up. They line up to the left. How about we just had a press that was required to be honest about their biases? How about going forward, let's talk about 230 changes where when they say the polls go into the next election, they say the Republican is down by 14 points. There should just be a little sidebar that says, hey, by the way, they were off by 7% the last election. So take this with a grain of salt.
Then there's also no recourse for big tech.
There's none.
So we talk all the time, big tech is biased, big tech is censoring us, and what's being done about it?
Right.
Nothing. So Dorsey gets marched up and Zuckerberg gets put before the court, as it will, and they get a spanking.
Right.
And we all enjoy watching Ted Cruz excoriate Jack
fun.
Dorsey. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's a lot of fun.
And Jack Dorsey sits there not bothered at all.
No, he's not bothered at all.
Because he knows I'm going to get the spanking and then nothing's going to happen. I'm going to go back to my censoring ways until this comes up again.
Yeah, and he needs to mute his mic, too, when they're asking him questions, because all he can do is
He needs to, shave the beard or clean it or something.
come on, he goes, hey, come on, get back in there, Poxy.
Yeah.
That's what he names it? I guess it's a cute name.
And who has a beard and a nose ring? Why would you do that?
Someone who potentially worships Satan. Potentially, I just said potentially worships Satan. So that's the problem.
We're
And I
just,
tell you what,
many
there is
avenues
some
to
kind of
Satan.
recourse. We've been litigious where necessary, and I just really hope that Ted Cruz, if you're listening, or Dan Crenshaw, that you don't summon me. Please don't subpoena me. It's not like there's any information that I have that nobody else could possibly have because I've been in this game for long. Please, I just hope that I'm never called before anyone and have to testify because I don't think it could ever actually turn the tides as it relates to just don't do it. Don't put me in that situation. Don't. I beg you. Oh no, please.
Don't, no.
Are there any updates going on here with states? Because if not, then did you have a good poop there, Quarterback Garrett?
I did. I had a nice long
Because
kiss.
I am going to have to use the bathroom in just a couple. Because keep in mind, I woke up, I was like, all right, let's go do this stream. And you know what? I had the coffee. We have a hell of a day to run out of Black Rifle coffee, too, by the way.
Yeah.
I had to go to Starbucks. And so this is a really rough day for all of us here. without the coffee that we need. Black Rifle, we're going to need to extend our shipment or have more stuff coming.
Yeah.
Is there anything going on here that we need to know about? Anything new?
I guess people are. Go ahead, Reg.
Oh no, go ahead. You got it.
I guess people are tweeting and DMing Fleckus on Twitter about Maricopa County and all the Sharpie gate, if we're gonna call it that. And so real people are saying, yeah, it's I know, but we got to go there.
Sharpie.
Real,
Got you.
yeah, real people are saying that no, it's a thing.
Yeah,
in
well,
Arizona.
we need some proof of that, and it's what's really unnerving about that is if they encourage people to use Sharpies.
Yeah.
Right, on their official
That's
Twitter account.
correct.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
And it was looking like it. Pollsters were encouraging it.
That's what I'm saying. If we can find,
boy.
can't we find these pollsters? Talking about accountability, can we track them down and say like, hey, Mr. Mr. Pollster, did you tell people to use a Sharpie? And they say no.
Right.
We say, okay, we're gonna go ask 3 other people here you talked to.
Yeah.
They're gonna say that you told them to use a Sharpie. Yes. All right. Recount.
Yeah, being told by pollsters use what's been provided, and what's being provided is Sharpies.
Right.
And anyone who's used a Sharpie knows they bleed right through.
And they just used a Sharpie because they could get away with it. They figured people wouldn't know. Like, you might as well just give them a chub fish.
I'm not even going to pretend to know what that is.
Yeah, what is
Chubfish.
Sometimes it's like a fish that you find in the Great Lakes region. Sometimes they put it in a Bloody Mary. I don't know why. It's disgusting.
I don't know if
the
that
point is, it's
translates.
about
That
the
was a
same.
regional reference
It's about
that
the
no one
same
got.
size as a Sharpie, and it's about as useful.
Bill just sent videos and images of potential voter fraud in Michigan. I'm getting them ready. And you guys
Ooh.
have-
Okay, so hold on. So you know what? So I
Breaking
am
news.
going to go. We have a break. Can we take a 2-minute break?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen. Bill, my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, has just sent official videos and photographs that apparently, I'm getting word right now, I'm going to need to look them over, and I'm going to need to pee, confirm voter fraud. And I believe we have these first, this exclusive. So tell everybody right now to tune into the Crowder election stream. I guess it's still a Crowder election stream. It's not really a new stream. And we will be back in 2 minutes with picture and videographic evidence.
Don't go
back.
anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
In 2019, a crack late night show was demonetized by YouTube's Community Safety Court for a crime they didn't commit. Today, still wanted by YouTube, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If there is a leftist no one else will make fun of, and if you can find them, you can hire the LWC team.
Hello, my name's QBG. And did you know that itty-bitty microscopic creatures crawl all over your everyday objects? Mm-hmm. They're on your phones, on your computers, and even on your doorknobs. These germs can hurt you. They can make you sick. You know what makes me sick? The Chinaman. He made all them germs. What is it now, Jerry? Oh, so you're telling me they didn't make all the germs? Not racist at all, it's a fact. Now, all you have to do to keep the germs away is to think of these 3 steps every day. Wash your hands. Keep your area tidy and clean. And thirdly, stay away from the Chinaman. Now, don't be no fool. Stay away from the Wu flu.
At least what you do online is your business. Protect your business with ExpressVPN.
Attention. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to Superior Drinking Vessel. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos-lined monochrome metal tumblers. Inhaling in the vicinity of these carcinogenic canisters may have put you at risk. Go to louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub now for a girthy, handish mug that, for all we know, probably cures cancer. That's louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Don't hesitate. Once again, that's louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Join now.
All right, everybody, we are back. Steven is out for just a second,
Still
but
pooping.
again, we will have in just a moment here exclusive information about voter fraud. Do we know where it's from? You know where the voter fraud?
I'm
Can
not
we
sure.
tease that? Oh, from a mystery location, voter fraud.
Right in. Oh, I'm just trying to. I had to refill my mug. I'll
Oh.
be right in. Reg, start reading the context there really quickly if you can. I think Tim sent it in. I'll be right back.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, it looks like the narrative is that these are videos of people entering a voting location, and they've got large suitcases and carts, and they're moving ballots around. There are two witnesses to it. No one was searching the bags at all. Now, I think the big question is whether that is, a legal problem to be moving ballots around. It certainly seems suspicious. And I think we do have some videos of that.
Yeah, I'm bringing those
that
in
we're
right now.
preparing.
All right, I'm coming in because I just wanted to check and make sure that this is verified, and I didn't have time to get on the phone with my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. But can someone explain to me the context here? Sorry for the viewer. I got rid of my beanie. I don't know. Is this okay? Is my hair? Is it hat hair?
You good?
You're good.
Oh, I
so
tied
this is
I tied my robe too tight. Now I know what it feels like to be a fat person.
You say
I feel personally attacked.
Fat person. Hey, by the way, before we talk about the voter fraud, can someone give Wade a comment? Look at Wade's looking leaner. Wade's been doing jujitsu.
You know,
He's
he
no
has.
joke.
He does look leaner. He
Yeah.
managed to escape the COVID fatness that everybody else has fallen susceptible to.
I fell hard, man.
And he smells nice too. Yeah.
Well, I've
Your
not.
smile really tells the story.
Yeah.
Steven,
So,
that's very nice
I
of you
haven't
to
done the
say.
Joe Biden
Tells
sniff
a
test on him,
story.
so I don't know how well he smells.
So
My smile tells a story. That's
Okay. And
Wonderful
this is what
compliment.
I want to go to the context here really quickly from Reg so he can explain
Can't
it.
switch. Oh, there we go.
But
There we go. There he is.
I just want to take a moment to say again, people who are watching this kind of information that we get, which is I'm not a newsbreaker. Look at all the stupid things I've said today. I was right about a lot of these polls, surprisingly, and we get exclusive information all the time. Right? We have exclusive information on YouTube. We were the ones who cracked that. We were the first ones to get undercover with Antifa. The only way get undercover to go undercover. My blood sugar's dying. I might need to eat on air. I apologize if that happens. But this only happens for people who do join up at Mug Club.
Yeah.
And I know even if you don't want to watch the extra full show every day, for those who are exclusively on Mug Club, I'm getting a text here from Hearing on Twitter. This was a massive typo that caused a real problem from Lee Dorn. What was I saying?
My club.
Yeah, the
Thank
only
you.
way
Thank
this
you so much.
happens,
It's the only way this happens. So even if you just want to watch the free stuff on YouTube, it doesn't happen. Like I said, as far as the revenue that we generate, what keeps everyone you see here, everybody you see employed, and the people who you don't necessarily see, it goes your subscriptions, sponsors. We don't list some YouTube revenue. You know what? We buy a few extra beers. Every now and then I get Audio Wade a nice bottle of whiskey or a box of cigars.
Wow. I don't get whiskey. What's this?
I bought you a bean bag.
Oh, that's right.
And I gave you another one, too. That's like $700 worth of bean baggery, you son of a bitch.
I just want to get my reparations.
If anyone here says that I don't give
beanbag reparations.
if anyone here says that I don't give good gifts, you can go screw yourself.
Pretty good gift.
Yeah, I
giver.
give good gifts to
You're
everybody.
a great gift giver.
One year, you guys all got AirPod Pros. The other year, you got
That was
that
dope.
custom Switchblade.
Love that.
That was
knife.
awesome. Still
I
use
do
it every day.
apologize for the spin coffee maker that never actually came to production. This was when Kickstarter was new, and I didn't know that Kickstarter was a synonym for liar.
They
Not all
do.
the time.
Spin does still get trolled in the comments whenever they forget to turn off.
But I got your refunds.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I'm going to need
That's
someone to bring in a
horrendous.
cloth here and another coaster because this is going to get all over my electronics. So if someone there is watching. Okay, What is the context here, Reg? This comes from half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond. He said that he has some videographic and photo evidence of voter fraud, correct?
Yeah, so this is from Michigan, and there were 2 witnesses who were able to photograph and video some people wheeling in tons of votes in coolers and suitcases at 4:30 a.m. to the main convention center in Detroit. Bill said his main question was, is this moving a problem or not? If moving votes away to count them at that time of night. But he said both witnesses are licensed attorneys. So, if they can explain it to him in a way that makes sense, we may have something.
I've got a lot of clips here, so.
Okay, so, and by the way, before that, just so you know, ABC retracted Biden's win in Arizona. The dementia plot thickens. He's a mighty humble bumble. Silver! All right, let's watch the clips. This is, to be clear, so I understand this because I'm a simpleton. I don't want to say simp. Because
don't
you
say
guys
simp.
in all your
I'm gonna use it
stupid
incorrectly.
Urban Dictionary. They were transporting votes by coolers in Michigan late at night.
Yeah, at 4:30 a.m., they're wheeling out a whole bunch of ballots from the convention center in Detroit.
And why do we believe that this could be an example of some kind of voter fraud?
Well, ideally you would count the ballots at the location and not go somewhere else. So again, this is part of this stuff where you have.
And why would you put them in coolers?
Yeah, I mean, it seems
You gotta
kind
keep
of
them cold.
Seems a little suspect.
a little sus.
It's big Rubbermaid at work.
No, again, and you have these poll watchers that were being denied entry in some of these voting places where they're saying, we just want to watch and make sure everything's above board. And so if you have people who are, stuffing the ballots into a big cooler and saying, I'm going to go count this at home, that could be a problem. So I think the question is, where are they taking it?
Where are they taking it? Well, you're not allowed to take them home. It's not like your class pet.
No, I know, but I'm saying.
No, I know, but do we know
yeah.
where they? So we don't. So we know they were taking them out in coolers, but we don't know yet where they were taking them.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
it
correct.
seems to, yeah.
Right.
So okay, so potentially it could be legal if they were just taking it to another area of the convention.
Yeah, legal
center.
but suspect.
Yeah,
at
Legal
least.
but
sus.
suspect, or it could be entirely illegal if they were taking it home and just running it over with their remote control cars, like I did do with my class pet turtle, to my everlasting shame.
He's got a shell.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh my.
No, actually, that didn't happen. It was my brother's bully, a guy named Stacy, who did it. This is a true. Well, you know what? Let me come back and I'll tell you my turtle story. These are the videos.
After the breaking news.
These are the
maybe.
video breaking news for everyone who's tuning in. And please, everyone, tweet this out right now. Tweet out Crowder election stream. No one else is talking about this. This comes does this come from a Trump representative lawyer, Reg?
Sorry, I'm getting some. I was conversing with Bill. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out how to present this and how to vet it.
Okay. Does that mean that we can't show it yet? Can we get Bill to Skype in? Can we get my half-Asian lawyer to Skype in here or to FaceTime in?
It's worth checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth checking. That might be good just because I don't want to misspeak and then put myself on the hook because he's like, I don't know, you can move them in coolers. You just can't.
Totally legal.
You just can't move them in tumblers.
Oh.
You just can't move them in mini fridges. I don't know what the rules are.
What's the line?
Do we know?
It is
Does anyone have an
bizarre.
answer? Can we get
I guess
on?
this was happening last night. Yeah. Last night.
What was that token?
We're asking.
Okay, we're tech. I want to make sure. So we do have video and pictures right now. Is that what you have? Video and pictures.
I have video
of
yes.
people
both,
moving around ballots in Michigan from the convention center in coolers. That's a really bizarre phrase.
And like wagons.
It is weird
and
in
suitcases.
2020, man.
Wagons?
Yeah.
Who's counting these ballots? Dennis the
Got
Menace?
a rickshaw. Pull these,
For crying out
He
loud.
throws
The
them in a
little radio
slingshot.
flyer.
Luges.
Yeah.
Shoots them in the
GT
slingshot.
snow racers. It's like, hey, who voted for who vote? Do we know what the votes are? We'll know in a little bit, but I got to put these ballots in a wrist rocket.
So, and while we're waiting for this, we have also people direct messaging you saying that they were given Sharpies for their votes in Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. And so it was, and you know, again, some of this is unverified because, you know, who knows, someone says something on Twitter if it's true or not. Good example, Jake Tapper retweeted out that thread about the Trump cars supposedly running the Biden van off the road. Do you remember that?
It was very clear. You know what? As a matter of fact, continue with that story. Someone get that clip because I want to show people why that's bullcrap. We'll run that afterwards. The clip of the thing being run off the road.
Well, yeah, it's just
the white SUV was at
Jake
fault.
Tapper, who's you know, a respected guy, retweeted this random person who made this ridiculous claim. It turned out to be false.
Right.
So always take it with a grain of salt. But some some Twitter users were saying that they filled it out with Sharpie and called them. The Arizona voting stations and said, "Hey, did you count my ballot or not?" And they said, "Yes, those do get counted, but not till later." So, you know, who knows?
And we know that we know that they cannot count one if it's done with Sharpie, or it just makes it
Probably
a little
messes it up
a little
as it
more
needs to.
difficult.
The claim is that it makes it where the machine doesn't read it
Reg,
accurately.
you keep scooting further and further.
Oh, I'm
into
so
the corner.
sorry.
There you go.
There we go.
It's
We
like
gotta
he's
see
getting
it.
all
It's like
relaxed.
he's so disinterested in still being here. He's gradually scooting
Yeah,
away.
I just want
we
to get
have
off
exclusive
camera.
information on potential voter fraud.
Yeah, he's just getting more comfortable.
For crying out loud, Reg.
Comfortable.
Oh my God.
Hey,
we used to be friends. Do we know if we're going to get half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond on the phone?
Yeah, he's on his way here. He'll be here in 20
He's on his way.
Oh, cool. So we'll talk about it.
He's vetting it at the same time?
Yeah, we
so
might have the witnesses too.
we might have the witnesses. So
Really?
can we show the video right now and then have Bill here, you know what? Here, I'm going to call Bill. I'm going to call Bill really
There
quickly
we
and
go.
just ask
Live
him a
on
question.
air.
I'm going to call my half Asian lawyer. And again, this is what, because for the same reason. Okay, so things that I want you guys to pull up: the Snopes fact checking us on the Cologne rape, if we don't have that.
I can do that.
And that video of the white SUV at the Trump rally. I need everyone kind of, because I can't bring these things up. Bring those things and have those at the ready, because I am going to call Bill right now. We need to be so right about these things. We can't be wrong even a little bit.
even a little
Now,
bit.
do we have that video about the Sharpie bullshit? We do. Do we have people sending me direct messages? We do. Do we have some of you folks in chats? We do. But we cannot put that information out there because our last name isn't Tapper. We actually have to be correct. Otherwise, we might risk our stream being taken down again, which happened, of course, yesterday. So let me call, let my half-Asian lawyer, Bill, know that I am, well, you know what? You don't need to let him know. I always forget. He has like 19 numbers. Hold on a second. Let me call my half-Asian lawyer. And the problem is when he answers, he always goes, me so sorry.
Most phone numbers have 10.
All right, hold on a second. Let me bring this up. Bill. Where is Bill? Okay, Bill. All right. Hold on a second. Let me call him, and then I'll ask him if I can put him on speaker. Hey, half-Asian lawyer Bill. You know, I'm on air right now. Can I put you on speaker really quickly? Okay, so people will know that I am on air with you, because here's the thing. We have a bunch of people, half-Asian Bill, who are eager to watch this video that you sent. And I know you're on your way here, and apparently you might have some witnesses. Can I show the video and the pictures that you've sent us right now, and then you can verify more context or witnesses after? Because I don't want to do anything incorrect or in the wrong sequence.
What I would rather us do is let us give some of the context as we show it so it doesn't get taken out of context. But what I can tell you from a high level, just to anticipate what we believe to be showing, and we're doing our best to verify that and whatnot, is that there were a numerous informal bringing of ballots into a main counting center in Detroit last night in very informal circumstances, coolers, suitcases, and the like. Some attorneys who have been monitoring there were able to gather evidence of that. So we're looking to hopefully in the next 5 or 10, maybe 15 minutes to be able to get the witnesses on to talk about that and to be able to show folks, but doing our due diligence.
So can I show the video of the coolers and suitcases, and then we can have them on, or am I going to get in trouble if I just show the video?
I mean, you're not going to get in trouble, but I'd rather not. So,
well, we told everyone. I went and I took a pee break, and now I'm back. Okay, all right. So 15 or 20 minutes, and that means your little tush is going to be in here?
I will be there.
All right. Okay, we'll see you very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bill. Drive safely. Keep your eyes on the road. I know you have bad peripheral vision. So, Actually, I gotta say, Half Asian Bill's an unbelievable driver. When he parallel
is,
parked
really,
that
yeah.
and he threw the keys like a boss.
That was pretty incredible.
And he's an unbelievable shot.
He didn't have a tough act to follow with
Right.
them, but
So again, this actually is good. Keep tweeting this out. Let people know because Bill is now we might actually have witnesses.
Yeah.
And it seems like the plot thickens. And I got to tell you too. You know, Tokunawa knows this, and so does Audio. I get frustrated with Half Asian Bill because he argues with me all the time. Where he's like, don't talk about any of this until it's 100% verified. Or he says, Steven, you'll lose. Says that a lot. You're a loser. I'm like, well, you don't need to say that. I say, I hate you. He says, I hate you right back, little shit. I'm like, well, you're the smaller one of the two of us, so really, it's not fair. It's a
power play.
this is a transcript, by the way.
Yes, this is a transcript. So, Bill, if Half Asian Bill feels confident in presenting this on air, understand that with him, he knows that his reputation is on the line, and this goes beyond some Facebook little fact checker. This is something that could be pretty serious. And just hearing about this, why would you ever put ballots in a suitcase?
Yeah.
Why would you ever put ballots in a
What scenario?
If you want, it's like, I'm sorry, has no one seen a heist movie? You switch out the suitcases, and then all of a sudden you have 100,000 that go for your guy.
Yeah.
Right. That would be like in Jurassic Park if Dennis Nedry put the dino DNA in one of those little silicone coin purses.
I'm having trouble following that.
Yeah, the reference is getting further away.
Kids don't do drugs.
All right. No, so it does bear. It is worth noting that it seemed they were saying that the ballots were being brought in. No, I had said maybe been taken out, but they were being brought into this convention center.
Okay. And one thing, too, I'm seeing from Too Cute Maddie. Oh, let's show this right now. Apparently, that we don't know if this is credible, but there was someone filming themselves burning Trump stolen ballots.
That seems kind of bad.
Sounds like a winner.
Is there any way can we bring that up? Let's bring up that clip. Let's see what this is really quickly. And this is not something that we can verify. What we have later on is Half Asian Bill and potentially some witnesses and some higher up lawyers. This is something that is being sent to us right now on Twitter as a video. I have no idea if it's true or not, but several people are circulating this. Do we have the clip? Let's roll it.
Yeah. Oh, Trump. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Crimes.
Fuck Trump. I've got around 80.
I don't know if this is real.
Yeah.
I don't know. We didn't necessarily run that because we have something more authentic, but we have something that's actually authentic afterwards. But it wouldn't surprise me that that's been going on. There's 80 here, 100 there, maybe a couple thousand there. Add a zero in Wisconsin. All of a sudden, you've got an electoral landslide.
Well, yeah, hate makes you do a lot of strange things.
Hate does
so
make
it very
you do a
well
lot
could
of strange
be.
things. It's a sickness of the
Makes you
brain.
unhinged.
Let's bring up, though, I think we have that Cologne, Germany, where we were fact-checked at Snopes, right? From Snopes.
Yep.
Let's bring this up right now, if you can bring that up as an overlay there, Gibbon. So this is something we wrote an article where I said, Germany didn't create cartoon leaflets explaining sexual assault following controversy. This, what you're seeing, this picture, by the way, that was the actual do not rape pamphlet that we posted about.
Don't touch the booty.
And what they said the claim, Germany created and distributed leaflets to curb sexual assault due to an incident in Cologne on New Year's Eve. What's true? They claim this is mostly false. But what is true is leaflets were created and distributed in the city of Munich in 2013 to reinforce cultural standards in mixed bathing areas such as pools after a number of complaints were registered by German swimmers. What's false? The country of Germany did not create the leaflets. The leaflets were not distributed. And that's not true. They said the leaflets were not distributed in response to an incident in Cologne, Germany in 2015, 2016. They weren't created after a wave. No, they were. They were not created entirely or primarily related to the sexual misconduct. They were distributed in Cologne. They were distributed in Cologne, Germany because of rape. They weren't created at that time in Cologne, Germany. It's not true.
But they also to reinforce cultural standards.
Right.
As in Germany, we try not to rape each other.
You know.
It's a cultural thing.
Listen, we are very happy to have you with us, okay? Very nice. I appreciate the gifts that you bring. You don't have to bring the housewarming gift. Put your cock away, okay? That's not how we greet each other here. You need to first greet people, say hello, and consent before you penetrate them, okay? That's a problem here in Germany. Yeah. But we can change our constitution just to make it not a problem, just like we did with free internet. So the choice is to you.
Yeah.
Well, the basic assumption behind that is that the problem is that they're not educated enough. They just need a little bit more information.
Yeah.
And then they'll stop raping.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
the
all
pam-
they need.
It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they want to have sex with people who don't want to have sex with them back.
Yeah. The pamphlet was created in 2013.
Right.
Not 1913.
Right. I mean, by the way,
This is like a recent
even
thing.
if it was created in 1913, all of the evil Western male chauvinists would have been like, yeah, sure. What?
Yeah.
You didn't need to put that on parchment. We get it.
Yeah.
We need to put a ring on it, right? Otherwise, it's rape. That's a crime. What are you talking about? Why are you wasting good parchment? You're like, I don't know. Parchment. I just thought there was something to do. Do we have that video too of the truck, the Trump truck?
Yeah.
We do.
Because this is something too that was when the second I watched it, I thought, oh no. First off, I thought, by the way, trucks surrounding the Biden bus, that's not really a good look. That's not going to play well. But if you look at this video, which was circulated, it's very clear the white SUV. I wish we could actually have a line like the glow puck where you could show a line of the lane. It's very clear at the
you
beginning
can
of this
see.
video that the white SUV is over in the line of the truck, and only when it goes over the line so far does the truck bump it back into its own lane. Let's show this video here at that was circulated by Jake Tapper.
Yeah, we'll make sure we have the right one.
This it may be this.
Oh, okay. This was because it was circulated everywhere, right? They just said, "Oh, Donald Trump supporters, they try and run the Biden bus off the road." No, there's a white SUV in this video, and you can see the lane demarcation, right? And this white SUV is way over, and then the truck finally goes, "Get out the way," and sends him back. Do we have it?
We have
it. What are you saying? Okay,
We
let's
have
watch this video. You tell me if it looks like the truck just randomly rammed the white SUV. Full screen this one. Okay, so that's the white SUV you see right there. Look, the white SUV in front of the white truck. It's clearly already in that lane. It's already halfway in that lane, and it's going further. Look, now it's going further into that lane. Now look when we go back. That truck, that SUV, look at where it is. Look at how far it is. It's still not back in its lane.
Yeah.
Play this again. Let's rewind it. Play it again. Look, it takes a while for that truck even pushing it to get it back into its own lane. Okay, so it's the white SUV in front of that truck in the middle lane.
Right.
It's clearly riding in the middle lane. Now it has one tire in the right lane, one tire in the left lane. Camera pans away, camera pans back. Look, it is entirely, right now, it is entirely in the right lane. It doesn't get pushed off the road. It gets pushed into its lane.
Where's that truck supposed to go?
Where's that truck supposed to go?
Off of the
that
road.
truck's going to go in a ditch.
Yep.
I didn't push you off the road. I pushed you into where you're supposed to be driving.
Yikes.
And that was circulated as, if you had complete trust in the FBI started investigating that incident. This is something, too, that people don't understand, having worked with the FBI. You've been watching too many spy movies, okay? When they say we're investigating, what they mean is they're watching the Twitter video and they're going, "Hey, Carl, did you see the Twitter video? What do you think?" "I don't know." "All right, let's get the superintendent here. Hey, did you watch the Twitter?" They don't have access to anything that you don't have. Then they run the plate and they ask, "Did you run someone off the road?" He says no. Let me call him. "Did you run someone off the road?" He says no. People like to think that the FBI has this ability to get all this information, when the fact is they get scooped all the time by people like me. We had people in law enforcement asking when we cracked the Antifa gang in Utah who were planning on stabbing attendees of the Ben Shapiro event. They handed us a taser and they handed us an ice pick, and they were talking about going to get their sawed-off shotguns and K-bars. We were in their little encrypted messaging app, and the cop said, "How'd you do it?" And I said, "How did you not?"
Could we get that information, actually, and give it to us?
So when the FBI comes out and says, "Don't worry, we'll handle it," worry.
That's the federal government in charge of it. Yeah.
Right. Worry about it. All right, Reg, are you still awake and with us? Do you need some more caffeine?
No, I'm good.
Is there any update here going on that I should know about before we get to the voter fraud? Because we still have 15, 20 minutes to fill before that.
No, I was trying to get some results.
Hold on to your mansplain. Hold on now, Courtney.
Yes.
Since you said you have nothing to offer.
Yeah. Giuliani tweeted that he's on his way to Philadelphia.
Why is he on his way to Philadelphia?
With an army of lawyers.
With an army of lawyers.
An army of lawyers.
Pennsylvania.
Oof.
Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania.
Well, just put your mic back in the back pocket this time.
Yeah. Tuck in your shirt ahead of time.
En route to Philadelphia with a legal team. Massive cheating. Said Donald Trump up by 550,000 with 75% counted. Will not let Philly Democratic hacks steal it. I get that he's talking. I don't really know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Like if there's already some kind of a ballot harvesting scheme, he's just going to walk in and be like, "All right, guys, listen. I really, really don't want you to commit massive fraud." Okay. I cannot clarify my position enough here.
I've got a team of lawyers.
I have a team of lawyers, and we are going to be watching your every move. Good. Do you plan on committing voter fraud? No. Are you telling me the truth right now? Like, what is he going to do?
Yeah. I hope there's nothing illegal going on here.
I hope
What
there's
is the
nothing
Warriors?
illegal
Like
going on.
we got a gang
here.
of lawyers. We're gonna come in here. We're gonna rough you up.
I'm going to bring in the baseball furies, and they're going to run a train. It is, so I appreciate Giuliani going in and doing it. And, of course, this is what happens, right? Yeah. They've assaulted the character of the messenger with Giuliani. They want us to believe that Wolf Beans Blitzer and Jake Tapper have more integrity, or Van Jones, or people like Whitmer, and that Giuliani is just some kind of a crazy person who was Times Man of the Year and a Republican in a Democrat city like New York. Do you have any idea how hard that is to do? You have any idea? Okay, let's see what Wolf Blitzer is saying right now, really quickly.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Gave it Wisconsin.
I was just wondering if anybody else has called Wisconsin.
Yeah, they just.
Well, CNN, but has anybody else called Wisconsin?
Yeah, Fox and AP.
Okay.
Biden maintains a lead of about 37,000, 49.5% to 48.8%. In Arizona right now, 86% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a lead right now of about 93,000 votes, 51% to 47.6%. 11 electoral votes in Arizona. Oh, wow. In Nevada, with its 6 electoral votes, 86% of the estimated vote is in. And Biden has a very narrow lead of
only
about
8,000. Nevada could go either way.
Trump,
Arizona, God knows how many of those things were ruined with Sharpies. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with losing trust in institutions if they're lying to you.
Yep.
Trust us while we lie to you.
It's not paranoia if they're after you.
No, the American Institute, right? We have the Constitution. We have 3 branches of government, okay? We have these ideas of, which is very unique to the United States, that all human beings are created equal. We have certain inalienable rights, which means they are granted to us by God, which is also why it's a little bit hard for people on the left to understand because they don't believe that there's a God. They're tantric yogists. So, it's a whole thing. But the institution is not Sharpie. In other words, if you say, but hold on, you passed out Sharpies and the Sharpies don't work. So I think that's not saying that you don't trust the electoral. You know what is actually trying to destroy American institutions? Saying destroy the Electoral College. You know, it is saying, you know what, we're just going to have people vote 2 weeks after the election. Not saying, hey, you added a 0 there. Hey, you shouldn't be transporting ballots in a Coleman. That is not telling people that you shouldn't trust the American institutions. This is something that people need to understand. Almost all of the issues that we have are with the methods. This is the same problem we had with the polls. It's that we're saying the methodology is incorrect. The same problem we have with this election is, hold on a second, it's actually the fact that you guys are using Sharpies. It's actually the fact that for some reason you're transporting them in wine coolers. This is the issue that we have, not with the actual electoral process. If these were all counted accurately, if these were all these votes came in person, and they were counted as any other election, and people were using the right thing, just like, a Scantron sheet and number 2 pencil. By the way, that was an old trick that I used to do. If I didn't study for the exam, I specifically used a non-number 2 pencil. And they would say, the sheet was all screwed up. I was like, really? I guess I have to retake that test.
Oh, that's a handy tip for some of our.
They caught on to me after the 3rd time. They said, hey, Stephen, if you use anything other than a number 2 pencil, we're just going to count it as a fail. And I said, okay, you know what? That's fair.
So I thought what's interesting to me is this is very different. You could say, well, why are you guys saying that? Are you saying that there was collusion to steal the election? Didn't you make fun of Democrats for saying that? No, this is a very different thing from saying that Russia bought some Facebook ads and somehow that swung the whole election. We've got multiple suspicious videos of poll watchers being forced out. We've got tallies for that were favoring Trump that suddenly just spiked for Biden after they stopped counting for a while and then started back. You've got videos like the one that Bill is in his way on his way here to show. So I think with that, these are tangible things, right? The vote has not been counted. States were called early. You have things like Nevada and Arizona where it looks like the media was very hasty to kind of declare these for Biden. They could eventually go Biden, but it's not unreasonable for us to, at this point. And that's the funny thing is that the media, said for so long, you're going to have to be patient, wait till all the votes are counted. And now they're saying, no, Biden's got it. Right. Huh. And so I think that's a good
planning
thing to
a victory speech today once he wakes up from his slumber.
Right.
Well, the right's argument with collusion was never that it's impossible to rig an election. It was that he didn't rig an election.
Right.
And Russia didn't use Facebook ads and totally hack our democracy.
Or it's that the effect was minimal in comparison. Like, in other words, if Russia spent $10,000 on, I think, 3,000 Facebook ads, the effect is minimal compared to, Facebook banning tens of millions of people from reading accurate information on pages like ours. That, obviously, how much would you pay? How much would you be willing to pay just to guarantee that your Facebook page reached all the people who actually liked your page and want to read what's on there? How much would you pay? Guarantee you, any business out there, if they said, hey, you have 5 million fans on Facebook, you have 2 million fans, but we're going to guarantee that you actually reach them, people would pay millions of dollars for that.
Yeah.
People pay millions of dollars, not $10,000. And that has been happening. Happened with Mark Levin. The guy's a constitutional lawyer, for crying out loud. I get that he's a tenor. That doesn't mean that you ban his Facebook page. Not ban, but throttle. The exact same thing happened with Mark Levin. So it's easy for people to say, well, if you look at Steven Crowder, he said some naughty words and he's a little bit of a shit disturber. Well, you know what? Guilty as charged. I don't like me a lot of the time. But the same thing applies to Mark Levin.
Who barely raises his voice.
Well, his normal voice is raised, so it's hard to tell when he raises it from there.
It's a new floor, with Mark.
Gotcha.
Gonna ban my Facebook page, you dope, you dummy. Go get your Starbucks latte and your soy mocha. Have you heard me talk about my adopted dog, you dummy? I can't stand you. That's his happy voice. When I talk with Mark, which is rare every now and then, I say, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" I'm doing great. How you doing, Crowder? I think better than you. That's how he talks. That's just his voice.
Yeah, I love Levin.
So this happened with Levin. It's happened with us. It's happened with Blaze. I think it's happened with Daily Wire. It's happened with so many pages out there. And what they do, here's what they also do, too. This is a little trick that they pull. One other thing before I talk about that. Why did ABC poll Arizona when you still see a wide gap there? Right, with 95% of the vote on CNN.
It's almost like they know something.
It's almost like there's a portion of that county that they know is going to swing red, which of course they will let you know in Michigan. We have 100,000 votes coming in Wayne County. They're coming in Frigidaires, and we're pretty confident that it's going to swing Biden. But for some reason, if ABC polled Arizona, and it's what was Arizona here? A 4-point spread, and 95% of the vote. That means they're expecting something pretty bad. Again, is the standard applied equally? And it is not. And it's the same thing with Facebook. It's just like the polls where they would say, Donald Trump needs to win this year. Keep in mind that he only won Michigan by 0.7% last election, and he's down by 6. Well, hold on a second. He was down by 6 in the polls. You can't compare performance to the current polls. You have to compare the previous polls to the current polls, because the polls were off by about 7% in states. So what they do with Facebook is they say, it's not just conservatives who have been affected, actually. Liberal pages have seen their traffic down as well by 40%. Well, hold on a second. Have they seen it down by 40% because their content sucks?
Usually sucks.
Or because all of their pages have been labeled misinformation or throttled?
Yeah, and this is
That's why. That's what matters, is they use a macro number without including the reason. The why matters.
And this is about the point where a snarky conservative would say, just start your own platform.
Right.
And that's like saying, just invent another method of communication besides the phone.
Right. Or it's like saying, well, just go out there and set up your own polls and your own 5G. And I hear SoftBank is looking for someone to back. I don't trust the Japanese.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's everyone is on Facebook. Hundreds of millions of people are on Facebook. You can't just say, well, if you don't like the rules, go make your own platform.
No one here is a fan of the international finance genre of humor. That was great. SoftBank, Japanese, had all the elements.
Somebody out there is laughing right now.
Yeah.
Real
Inside
hard.
financial
Big guttural
baseball,
laugh.
slight ethnocentrism. I liked it. But the point is, you can't just go out and start your own cell phone company.
No.
You cannot. What are you pointing to?
Reinvent
Bill
a
Richmond.
device.
Oh, half-Asian lawyer Bill
the
Richmond
house.
is here. Do you need a minute to settle in, or are you good to go? Are you ready and
Bill's always ready.
I don't know. Sometimes you champing at the bit. That was one thing I was corrected on a long time ago. I said chomping at the bit. It's champing at the bit. Champing.
Yeah, get it right.
Yeah.
I had always said chomping at the bit, and I was also corrected. And I want to say I still like chomping at the bit better.
I think they both make sense.
Better.
Yeah.
You knew it was champing, Courtney, because you do
I did,
use the horse thing.
I have the horse thing.
But both of them could technically work. It's just the
I
expression.
used chomping until I heard champing was correct. They are chomping at it.
Yeah, they're chomping at it.
Yeah,
And champing
they're
is
eager to
used. Champing is used under no other circumstance, if not to make people feel small.
Never heard that.
Look, people are going to, this is what I've told. I've talked about this champ chomp thing for a long time with
Yeah.
people. Almost universally, talking to people, they're like, oh, isn't chomping at the bit, it's like a chomp chomp from Mario. The little guy on a chain, a little black, black chomping thing. That's what people think of when they hear chomping at the bit. Completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk Michigan?
This is why we brought you in, Bill.
This is why
Yes,
drove
I
across
do want to talk
town.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the videos and we have the pictures, but you want to set the context. People heard you, and everyone out there, let's make sure everyone. The hashtag is Crowder Election Stream. Right now, we have some exclusive. This is exclusive. I don't think anybody else has this right now, correct?
Nobody has it.
Nobody has this right now because they've just been talking about Michigan, and we've been talking about Michigan all day because, especially Wayne County, they're expecting 100,000 votes in Wayne County, which they are saying is going to be heavily Biden. So we can pretty much put Michigan on the side of the ledger for Biden. And this would actually relate directly to that. What happened? Give us some context. What's been going on in Michigan?
Absolutely. So I got a call from some fellow Texas lawyers who are actually in Michigan.
Okay.
And there's a group of them and women, but it was 3 women specifically who were involved, who connected with me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Just here in the last hour.
You women?
And they sent up. Yes, they are women. They do. They have eyebrows. They both raise. Yeah.
Nice.
And so they reached out to say that they had some very serious concerns about what was happening last night. Now I know, even though I was asleep and you guys were awake, messaging about what exactly is going on with the count in the various states, but there's really no clarity, no ability to really see what's happening.
Right.
And what these ladies were able to do, one of the ladies is actually going to be Skyping in. So if you see that, make sure to bring her on. But they took some photos and videos from Cobo Hall. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right now, called TCF Center, the main convention center in downtown Detroit, where there's a lot of ballot counting, voting, and that type of thing happening. In most of these places, they have security. They have security to make sure that ballots aren't being brought in after a certain time they're checking. The front check here was only COVID and masks, and people were bringing in what should have been only 4 to 6 hour shifts, bringing in huge coolers, huge bags, suitcases, other types of things with no checks whatsoever, while coincidentally, at the very same time, we're seeing spikes in the voting count and all kinds of numbers going in one certain direction.
Yeah.
So I will emphasize, it's not like any of these ladies ran over there and pried open one of the igloos or looked in one of the coolers or looked in one of the suitcases, but rather the lack of institutional security surrounding one of the most controversial districts and counties and voting locations is apparently null. And these ladies have actually tried to raise those issues there with election officials since this morning and have not been able to get any answers. They are being completely ignored. And it raises a lot of questions about what is happening for the institutional security at these key voting spots.
Well, so at absolute worst, it is complete and it's negligence, I guess, really.
Well, it's
severe.
It's huge. It's certainly at the very least negligence. And what we're looking at here is an undermining of the trust that would have in that particular system. I mean, we've heard from folks on the left who are saying, oh, you know, how are we going to trust the system? How are we going to know what's happening? But even at the most basic security at main voting locations and vote counting, you're letting people come in and do things that really cast a question and a doubt about what's happening.
Legally, is that even allowed? Isn't there supposed to be a process to make sure that there are checks in security issues? You know, the security safeguards.
Absolutely, that's every single one of these locations is supposed to have kind of reasonable safeguards, and it depends on the location, the type of place. But if election workers are allowed, or people who are simply allowed into the space are not being checked, their IDs are not being checked, they're not vetted, the things that they have are not being vetted, then we're really raising a question in these particular jurisdictions. Particularly when you see at somehow 4:30, 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, a huge number of votes for one side. All of a sudden,
by the way, when they were supposed to
making
stop
it on
counting.
the ledger.
Right. We had to stop it because they said we're going to stop counting. We're like, oh, I guess they're going to. And they said we're going to start again tomorrow at 10, I think is what they said. And then all of a sudden,
in 1 hour,
an hour
actually.
later, there's a huge spike specifically in this area. So you guys let me know when we have that person on Skype. But let's go to the. Are we going to start with the videos or the pictures first?
I got videos here.
Okay, so let's go to the videos. This is in Detroit. These are the ballots. But all these ballots for Santa Claus. Oh yeah, I know that spot.
So these are pretty raw.
Yeah, these are pretty raw. So how long are these videos that
This
you have?
one's 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Kinda
Okay.
scoots
So let's, okay,
through-
okay,
oh,
right
we
here,
go,
right
we
here.
go.
Okay, all right, so let's look at this. So, okay, so right here, for people who are watching, again, we're just getting this. These are people bringing them in coolers. There's no one around.
That looks like a radio.
That does not
Wow.
look like a bustling ballot counting operation. That
In the-
looks
in the
like
dark.
That looks like the kind of place where Hunter Biden would find his next fix.
And one of the things is there's certainly a lot to be happening. Wayne County has a lot of votes, but it's the dead of night.
Yeah.
The polls have been closed for hours and hours. Where are these? Where are these?
And they were
people
supposed
coming
to
from?
stop counting. That's what they said on air.
Right. And what are they doing at this particular moment that they need these type of containers at this particular time?
Wow. Okay. Let's keep fast forward. What was that voice that I just heard?
There's a white van.
Oh, it's someone
Narrating.
And this little cart thing. See?
Wow.
Just getting something out of there.
There's just one guy. And he's not even wearing a tie.
So the person who's going to be logging in, her name is Kelly S., and she's a licensed attorney here in Texas, again, up in the Detroit area, who monitoring with some other groups that are part of the Attorneys for Trump organization. They're just there monitoring, making sure that things get done correctly.
wagon.
And you're going to see wagons and
That's
other
a wheel-wed wagon.
strange implements. So this is either a horror movie or something worse.
Wow. I mean, you wouldn't be able to trust that just because some ballots could fly off the back. That's a guy in a WrestleMania T-shirt with a KB Toys wagon.
Wow.
So he's
I was
bringing
joking
these.
about the radio flyer.
No, but yeah, you're
That's
right.
actually a
Massive
radio
radio flyer.
He got the nice brand.
On brand.
Yeah, the good thing, yeah, it's that's name brand.
Good for him.
Wow.
They spent the extra $20.
So think of the different points here where there's no security. There's no security. First off, we have no idea how these things got into the van. There's no one there right now escorting him from the van. There's no one meeting him as he brings it into there. Like you would think that there should be a human conveyor belt of people. It should look like American Gangster when they're all cutting the cocaine naked, so that you're sure they don't have anything in their pockets. And this guy's just walking in. There isn't any kind of official there for hundreds of yards.
Goodness.
He's just
We
bringing in
actually-
a wagon right there, and
we
we
actually have her on air. The person who
who recorded it, and we have more videos. So let's and her name is
Kelly Sorrell.
Kelly Sorrell. Kelly Sorrell, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us. Hey, and look at this. Even after a long night, you look better than the people over there on CNN, and you actually have lighting and sound that functions. Kelly, I don't want to get this wrong here. My half Asian lawyer Bill is here. That was you videotaping this, and I don't want to be redundant, but I don't think this can be stressed enough. This was happening in one of the major areas of Michigan, right in Detroit. We just watched one video where a guy was bringing it in a red wagon, these ballots. Explain to me what you saw and why you brought it to Half Asian Bill's attention and officials. Why is this so concerning?
Well, I actually went up there. All the polls were closed, and I went up there after we had all gotten back to the hotel. I was kind of watching the news and decided I was going to go check on, it's called Kobo. And so I thought I'd go downtown and check out how the absentee ballots were being counted and see if they were still counting, because I had actually heard on the news that they weren't going to be counting anymore.
That's exactly. So we were doing the election stream all night. And keep in mind that into that point, when we were about to go to bed, they said we're going to reconvene. I think they said at 9 a.m. or they said at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, an hour later, there was a huge jump in Michigan for Biden. So yes, we were there last night. People can corroborate it. 8 million people watched. They said no more counting, and that's when you started filming this video, right?
Well, yeah. And so as soon as I heard that, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go down there and just check and make sure that they actually are cutting it off, because I would hate people to leave or not be down there checking on things and they be doing something shady. So I went down. And I actually got in, and they screened me for COVID. They took my temperature, made sure I had my mask. I kind of roamed around, and I was like, I'm going to go grab some coffee and then come back and park for the night because they were active. So I left, and as I was walking out the door, I see this white van pull up. And as I stopped for a second, turned on my phone, you saw the video where I kind of like walk around, and I see he's pulling out like an old radio flyer wagon and is like connecting it. And then I get in the car and I see him like drop the box. And that was pretty much, we had worked polling stations for the night. And that's, very similar to the box that we had seen and been watching and monitoring to make sure that got locked and removed from the polling stations, put in vehicles, and driven to the secure locations.
Right.
So it was just one of those where I was like, that's kind of weird. So I went and grabbed my coffee, came back, and just was sitting and just observing. I tried to go in. I'm not a Michigan resident, so I'm not allowed to actually go and roam around on the floor.
Right.
But I could observe. It was a glass window. I could observe. There was no security at the door. Nobody was checking bags or credentials or, who was coming in, even identification, anything. People were just able to go in. I'm assuming if they were actually counting ballots, they would get something somewhere.
Right.
But just for regular folks, and there were other attorneys in our group that actually got in later and just roamed the floor.
Yeah, one sec. Mute their mics over there just for right now, because right now we can hear them typing. Okay, so that was the first video, and I understand that we have some other videos as well, if I'm not mistaken. Correct there, Quarter Black Carrot?
I do.
So can you tell us what the next video will be? Quarter Black Carrot, give us a description, and then we'll go to our
it looks like we're inside of the area.
Inside of the
Looks like
building.
the inside of the building. Okay. So we're going
looks
to
like the
watch this
actual
here. Stay
counting
with
area.
us. I just want to make sure that people can see this so we can sort of give people a visual aid. Let's show the inside of the building, this video here. Okay, so this is where they were going inside, and that's where they're supposed to be counting those ballots, I assume. And so, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of your lovely guest here.
Kelly.
Kelly, right here, can you turn on the volume on the clip a little bit?
Yeah.
So Kelly, right here we see them coming in suitcases. Is this the same place in the area where they are now? Is that where you saw them bringing in the red wagon? Because in here it looks like there are quite a few people. That's a ballot counting operation.
Right. So I can't really tell which video clip you're looking at, but so it's basically like a convention center, the
Right.
building that we're in. So there's where we came in, or where I came in, was kind of up on the upper level, and then you go down, and there's entrances for everyone, and they're dragging luggage, they're dragging bags, they're dragging igloo, like ice chest. They're there doing 5 to 6 hour shifts, and yeah, I mean, they were taking those items in with them into the clear glass windowed room that's to the back, and that's the area I couldn't cross into. So we weren't able, there we go. So that glass area to the back is where they would go through to go in to count the ballots.
Right.
And so this front area is the lobby area, and they would come in from outside and bring those items into that secure area that's in the back where they actually have the ballots.
And that's where they were counting, and this is at that time when we had been told they had stopped counting. They weren't supposed to be counting.
Correct. And the concern was just the security concern. We don't really know what was going on with, or what items they were bringing in, or who was going in, or any of those things.
Yeah. So what is your primary, how does this differ from the normal experience, at where they would count ballots? Do people, right now what we're seeing is people bringing in by themselves with no security, red wagons and Coleman coolers, bringing them behind a glass area where no one has access. How does that differ from how ballot counting should look, or how it usually looks? Because keep in mind, for a lot of people, they've never seen any of this at work.
Well, I would think you could kind of look at how we vote, right? I mean, we go into a polling location. It's very formal. There's a process. We go through. They check your identification. They, validate who you are, verify that you're a person that's eligible to vote, that you're in the right precinct, you're in the right area. So, I would think that if we're going to go through all of those steps to make sure that our voting is protected, that we're doing it properly, you would think that our end result would have the same level of security.
Right. And
we don't see that here. And so the difference is basically they're just letting whoever in. with whatever items. They're not verifying any of it. You see the two ladies standing there, but they're not stopping to say, hey, are you even supposed to be here?
Right. And so what would be the risk there of those people walking in with no stop? Here, hold on. We're going to have my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, here come in. What would be the risk of those people right now? They're walking with what appear to be giant, Santa sacks, or they're walking in with pillowcases full of something. We see people walking in with coolers. What, I guess, is your concern? They could be walking in with fake ballots? They could just,
Fake ballots, absolutely. I mean, this is a battleground state. We came up here to Michigan to help Trump because this is a state that's under fire. This is one that we needed to be monitoring for fraud.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to monitor for fraud when nobody's checking.
Yeah. There really is nobody checking there. And I don't know if someone would argue, well, they're checking once you're past the glass. I don't know if someone would argue that.
They're not. They go in, they roam around, they sit down. I don't know what all goes on.
And so one of the important things here is, and we can raise a good point, is look, maybe somebody's got some sandwiches, maybe someone's got some drinks, but at the very least we have a very clear appearance of a problem. And given how many concerns we've had, particularly in Democrat-controlled jurisdictions, about election security, you imagine that the most heightened election security concerns that we've ever had, highlighted for weeks and weeks, on the day of the election in a battleground state, in one of the largest precincts in that battleground state, you have lax security at a time when the ballots are coming in. Now, again, the ballots, it's not like all of a sudden, a million Biden votes happened right after these igloos went in, but rather the very clear that at the least, we've got a lack of security that raises questions about the election itself, and particularly in this jurisdiction. And at the worst, we have people who are without the ability to vet it, who's in there.
Well, this is also listen, as someone who has spent quite a bit of time in Detroit, you have more security at a racquetball court. It's Detroit. You have someone there guarding something. There is nobody checking at all.
Yeah, they're just walking in.
And at what time was this? Were these videos taken approximately, Kelly?
That was actually ironically, the issue with Wisconsin came in at shift change. All of that, where you see most of that luggage coming in, is at their shift change at 4:35 in the morning.
Wow! Because you know what, we had to end the stream. Was it right about 4:00? Right about 4:00 in the morning is when we ended. We wanted to stay here throughout the entire night, and then they said we are going to reconvene later today and count. And then I took an hour nap in a hammock. I'm not exaggerating, and I woke up and Michigan had entirely changed. It happened right at that time.
It happened right in front of my eyes, and all I could think was, "What the heck?" All I saw was all this stuff going in.
Now, what would you say to people who just say, well, that's also because all these votes are just Wayne County and that's heavily liberal? Would we expect that kind of a turnaround? I mean, there was a huge lead going into, or a big lead at that point by many, what was it, 6 points, Michigan, 8 points at that point before about 4:30 a.m. What would you say to people who would argue that?
So this is actually just kind of an interesting thought, because we thought going into last night,
turn down the clip.
We were doing great in Michigan. We had been working Michigan.
Right.
All of us spent yesterday, all of the attorneys, we spent roaming around, checking precincts, we did Detroit, we did the suburbs, we did all the different areas to see how many people were, at the polling locations. And I will tell you that suburbia, loaded. You could tell. People were packed in there. They were busy all day. You go into inner city Detroit, nobody was in there. So we were like, shoot, we got this. Like, yeah, heck yeah, we did good.
Right.
And then you come into this, and it's like, what the heck? All of these absentee ballots pop up, and we're just, okay.
Well, but couldn't it just be that people voted early, and that's what they're finally bringing in? I mean, that's what people would argue, right? Well, these are just early ballots, and they're counting them now, and that's a liberal county.
Well, okay, so another thing, too, is that when I left this morning, they were looking, or right after I left, they announced that they basically were around 16,000 uncounted absentee ballots.
Right.
That's what they were working on. And then by 10 a.m., it jumped to about 30 to 35,000. There was like about a 10-minute gap between 30 and 35.
Right.
And then the next thing we know, we're up to 120-something thousand.
Absentee ballots. And they were only expecting 16? They were only expecting 16,000?
Yeah, the first thing this morning, that's what they were looking at.
So I have a video that she might want to weigh in on. This is from Matt Finn at Fox News, and this, I believe, is the same place. It's this scene at Detroit's absentee ballot counting center. It's growing more heated, and the people are saying that there are allegations of violations, and they're covering up the windows so that people can't see what they're doing inside.
Okay, so Kelly, you're able to see what we're showing you right now, correct? Okay, go repeat.
I actually lived it already this afternoon. Our attorneys, I've actually been here at the hotel. I've not slept yet. And so we were working on some of this stuff, but some of the other attorneys with the group, they were kicked out. They weren't allowed in. And so they've been down here at the hotel and not able to go anywhere. So
okay, well, let's show this video here that's going on at Fox News. So if you can confirm it, do we have that video here? Let's show it. So this is what they were doing. Why would they put up? What? Is that commonplace? Can someone let me know?
That's a video from the
That's
inside.
from the
of
inside.
That's from inside. Again, this is not coming from Kelly. The other videos that we just showed, the wheel-wed wagons and the people going with no security, that was separate. Kelly, that's exclusive to us. This is what they're showing at Fox News. Is that common practice at any polling station to cover it up with Bristol boards?
Wow.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to show that you're transparent and that these are legitimate elections, you should have that open ability to look in and at least observe to make sure that people are following protocols and there's some kind of, process that's being, compliant.
I thought that was the purpose to doing it. I've never been to a polling station where it wasn't all glass.
I mean, I've seen more of the inside of a McDonald's than I've seen of that polling place once they put those boards up.
And then you scalded your crotch with coffee.
It was great.
Well, so it's really funny because I started, as soon as I got back this morning, I tried to start kind of discussing with different people the concerns I had and the things I had witnessed overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got around in just this little group, in this little area. So I'm pretty sure it was probably discussed over there, and that's probably their response was somebody's in there recording, and so let's, lock them out.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we have a lot of people watching right now. So let me ask you this. What do you think, and I know you have to be careful legally, what do you think happened? What do you think was going on? If you have to guess what happened at that was the Devil's Hour 3:33? Is that where something happens all the time? I don't know. I saw it in a horror movie, but 4:30.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? We saw people bringing in wagons and coolers unchecked and then putting up boards to cover up the glass. Do we just think they're saying, hey, we want to keep this secure, we don't want anyone to get shot through the glass? Is it just there were so many votes, they were overburdened? So what do you think happened there in Detroit?
Well, I generally don't think you try to hide something if you're being transparent and honest.
Right.
I mean, that's generally, that's kind of how we see things, right?
Yeah.
If you're upfront and doing the right thing,
right,
then you're happy to have people observe and see that you're doing what you're supposed to do by the people in your community, right?
Right.
So, I mean, the only thing that would lead me to believe is that they are doing something.
That is inherently dishonest, and it would seem to coincide with something that was almost nonsensical as far as the number jump. What kind of a challenge, I guess, can there be to this practice? As you're a lawyer and my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, is here. What do we do? How do we fight this?
I'm not jumping in on that because I am not a Michigan attorney, and I'm just going to sit back and see where the administration wants to go or where the RNC wants to go or where the GOP here in Michigan wants to go.
Yeah.
And what I would say is there's obviously there's probably a million different ways. We saw from the Supreme Court rulings leading up to the election, there's a lot of different ways you can invalidate or otherwise allow voting to happen and create spoiled votes or invalid votes. Kelly's right. There's going to be a lot of decisions to be made by the party directly affected, so the RNC or the GOP in Michigan and nationally. But what it does is raises a lot of questions. What we'll really have to know is what is happening inside of that room, right? What is happening? What problems have been created from the lack of security? And again, at the very least, let's say Biden wins, it raises questions. Let's say Trump wins, it raises questions. All it does is delay. And again, in one of the most central precincts in a battleground state for this to be happening, and then for this afternoon for it to, you're really doubling down on the problems by saying we may have had a problem, but we're going to definitely cover up any resolution of the problem because then you'll believe it's getting done. It raises a lot of questions.
Well, I mean, for some context with Florida, they just thought, thought it was too close for comfort, and so they wanted recounts. It's not the same thing as, well, and there were the butterfly ballots, I think. Was that what they were, the butterfly ballots, that what they called them, the term? In this case, there are a lot of boxes being checked. There is a confusing process, and then there is no security, and then for some reason they are proactively deciding to cover up the remainder of that process. And all of this happened. All of the video that you just saw happened around the time when we went to bed and we were told that they were not going to be doing any more counting. That looked, when you look in that room, that looked like Elves Before Christmas.
A lot of people up in there.
And Kelly, keep us in the loop. Let's definitely see where things are going. Michigan is still an important state. There's a number percentage that's out. It's a very close battleground. We're curious to know what else happens. But thank you to you and the other attorneys who are up there working on this and keeping an eye out for what can only be described as shenanigans.
What can only be described as. And have you been aware, Kelly? Have you heard about what's been going on in Arizona with the Sharpies?
No.
Okay, so yes, you've been focused on Michigan. This just happened. We just had a video. We had people who apparently, did you know about this,
No.
Bill? Pollsters were handing out Sharpies and saying, this is how you fill in the ballot with a Sharpie. And there's very clear instruction. It's written when people are talking about filling out a ballot. Do not use a Sharpie because it will likely be impossible to read. And we have people who've been sending us direct messages saying that they actually were given a Sharpie to fill in their ballot, and there were people on video saying that there were Sharpies being used to fill in a ballot. So that is anecdotal, but there are now many, many hundreds of anecdotes in Arizona, specifically Maricopa County, where people were being given Sharpies by volunteers or officials who were involved with the actual polling stations. That happened in Arizona, to the best of our knowledge. Now, how much of a sway is that? I don't know, but again, it seems like it could be pretty significant. Something else that's bizarre to me, I don't know if you saw with Kenosha. Kenosha obviously was going Donald Trump, was at 60-40, and then in a span of 2 hours became an even split. I don't know that I've ever seen that in a suburban Midwestern district. It's not a different county, the same county, and a switch of 15 to 20 points. Again, in that little hour where they weren't supposed to be counting anymore.
Right.
With, I think, 5% more of the vote coming in.
Right.
All of a sudden, it flipped.
And everybody went to bed. I just was actually being annoying. I was like, you know what? Funny, it was like Watergate popped through my brain, right? Like, flashlights. I got to go see if there's flashlights, So I just run down there, So I don't know.
Yeah. So, if you can look into the rest of these when you get some time, but get some sleep. You don't look like you only got a couple hours sleep. I mean, you look a little bit tired, but you still look lovely. Kelly, thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate it. We'll try and have you keep us posted because you're there on the ground.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Half Asian Bill, looks like you're looking at something on your phone. I saw you muttering things with Courtney there.
Yeah, we were casting spells. That's it.
Or you casting spells? Oh, my God.
That's the interesting part is there's so many different things to be paying attention to right now in the different states. It's important to stay vigilant, but realizing that even folks on the ground are there and then trying to get the message out. So fortunately, they knew that, with how big the stream was last night and where things were, that this was a place that would be able to look into it. And we still got some of our team and folks outside doing some more digging to see what else is out there, particularly in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see, I don't know if we have any new information on Arizona because ABC officially retracted Arizona being called. And did they just recall it for?
No, I guess ABC never actually called Arizona for.
Really?
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. But
if you look right here on CNN is talking about the tense situation at the location we were just talking.
Oh, wow. Now they're talking about it.
They don't show the whole thing covered up, though.
Yeah, they make it look like there are a couple of signs for like a Pantera concert coming into town. Like, you just can't see this side of this poster. No, they covered up everything.
Yeah, it's tense, though. That's the takeaway.
It's tense.
They let this guy in, though.
Oh, he's in there.
They believe that they will be through the vast majority of votes here by this afternoon. They also believe, because this is Detroit, that most of those votes will go for Joe Biden. The pressure on the people who have been counting votes is intense. The sense of the difference between yesterday and today at this little corner of Detroit is equally intense. Clearly, both sides now fighting very hard, looking at how this process will play out.
Nope.
Counties now have
Nope.
2
Let's be really
weeks.
clear. Both sides are not fighting over the integrity of the process. Only one is. There's only one side. Let's be really clear here. When people say, about trust, restoring trust in our institutions, there's only one side fighting for transparency, and there's only one side right now fighting for integrity of institutions. The other side puts up Bristol boards and banners to make sure that you can't see what they're doing. It's important to note that this is not a moral. There's no moral equivalency here. If someone is putting what's the term I'm looking for? Spit hood. I guess spit hood, but you can see through a spit hood. If someone's putting a bag on your head, it's not the same as the guy saying, can you take that bag off my head? No, they're not both fighting for integrity. That's not what people are fighting for right now. You are not hearing any calls of voter fraud from the left. You're not hearing anyone saying, hey, we need more integrity. Hey, we need more transparency. Hey, what happened with these counts? You're seeing it from one side. And that is important to know. It's tense here. Well, why didn't you show why it's tense? Right. Yeah. Why didn't you show? And isn't it also kind of incredible? We had this before CNN, and we have the person who had the footage. Why is CNN? You think they don't have the ability, infrastructure to get that story? Or do they not want to show you that story because they're too busy calling Arizona with 3% of the vote?
Well, they would have shown the story had the numbers been reversed.
Of course they would.
It would have been. It would have been the immediate. And this is what I mean. It doesn't matter where the election goes or where the actual final vote count goes. The questioning of the solution, the questioning of the process itself, is something that they are raising. Right? I mean, they are creating the problem by not having the type of security that's necessary. This is the thing I will tell you. When I was originally talking with Kelly, I don't know what this Cobo Hall looks like on the inside. I don't know what this particular room looks like.
More like Hobo Hall.
I mean, there were definitely some hobos around. It is Detroit. So, but in my first mind when I saw those pictures, I said, well, what is on the
you guys
other
have a sandwich? He said, have some Trump ballots.
Delicious. To sneak them in the sandwich, inside the igloo, inside the American cheese, wrapped up. But I said, what is on the other side of that glass? And she said, no, it's just like, that's where they're counting. Like, that is exactly where they're. I go, so you're saying there's nothing there? She goes, oh, there's a COVID check. That's it. Right. But you want to bring in, you could bring a rocket launcher in there. I mean, you could do anything. And that's a big, big, big problem right now. And look at what we saw there. I mean, CNN was in there, and they're not covering anything about the lack of security. But I think you're right, Courtney. If it goes the other way, we'll see.
And they went right to commercial. They would have been doing wall-to-wall coverage of, we've got an exclusive on this. Wolf Blitzer never would have let it up. Right. And instead, they keep going through what does Biden need to do to reach 270.
Well, do you see what they did again before this? Was Donald Trump wanted to have poll watchers, and they're saying, "Oh, look, they're going to try and intimidate voters." They didn't have a problem with the Black Panthers hanging around with nightsticks back in the day.
Fine.
But this is why you need some kind of poll watchers, and you can't even watch.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a poll watcher, you can't even just sit out there with some popcorn to watch the American electoral process. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
That's actually way worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
I thought we'd see a couple of people. What were you about to say?
I was just going to say, Courtney made this point in a different way, but I think imagine if this were in Texas. Imagine if we were like in Texas, somebody was blocking windows, and some would be there going like, Trump is trying to steal this election.
When I went in, to give you a contrast, I went in and I voted in person. There were two doors right at the voting station, and I had to walk through one door. There's a right door and a left door. They're both open, but for some reason I had to go on one side, like a movie, what do you call it? Movie drape? What do you call it? Movie cord. I'm very tired and haven't anything to eat.
Did you say movie cord?
Like a velvet rope.
The velvet rope. I'm going to need to get some food here pretty soon. My blood sugar's taking a nosedive.
I ate it all.
I went in.
You would.
And then they said, okay, give me your ID. Okay, here you go. Please write your name here with a pen. They gave me, they made me take a pen, write with it, and then sanitize it, put it in another little holder for the pens, so that then they could sanitize it again. Yeah. And then I went into a booth that had blinders on, there were probably about 10 of these lined up, where I did it digitally, and then afterwards it was printed, and I dropped it right in that box. Everyone could see what was going on. It was clear. Yeah. It was a conveyor belt. No one had any confusion. And by the way, that's the exact same thing. That's the exact same process when I voted in Michigan in 2016. So it's very, very different from someone walking with a bag going, here's your votes, fucking do whatever you want.
Stephen, I just want to, because I wasn't watching the stream earlier and I haven't been following, and you guys have been working while I've been doing other things. And you mentioned the Sharpies in Arizona. Is that the only state we've heard about so far that anyone's reported on?
As far as Sharpies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, then let's break some more news. I got 2 different text messages from people on the ground. One in Michigan, in Livonia, which I think is in
I know
Wayne
Livonia
County.
very well.
Okay, another in Macomb County,
I know
also in Michigan. 2 different people have said they personally voted. They were given Sharpies and told to vote in those jurisdictions.
Okay, here's something. If anyone out there right now, so we have Arizona and Michigan, if anyone out there voted with a Sharpie, or someone tried to hand you a Sharpie, and you have a picture or a video, send it to me. What's the best way for them to send it to me?
There's but here's the thing, there's almost no way there's going to be that because they don't let you have
They don't
phones
let
out.
you use your phone.
But that being said, let us know where it's happening because until we shed light on it, look, if you got a video somehow, definitely send it. But even if you don't, we need to know where it's happening because this is the only way that we can conduct the kind of investigation that's appropriate.
Yeah.
What's the best email for people to send on the website there, Courtney?
Oh my God, I'm hesitant to give mine, but
No, well, not yours, but where's the best
main one?
Yeah, what's the main one?
mine.
Or maybe
Broadcast.
No, what's the main one where people can send in, let's say, whether it's life advice, what's the main contact on the website?
We could use life advice.
Do life
or
advice.
maybe like replying
Yeah.
to a tweet or something.
Yeah, or send me a reply at SCrowder. If you don't have a video,
That is Twitter is the best thing.
yeah,
to do
Twitter right now, and then is it lifeadvice@loudwithcrowder.com?
I believe so.
Is that it, or is it ask@loudwithcrowder.com? Can someone find this out and get it to me?
Yeah,
really quickly?
well,
But first,
I can put
send me if you have. We need to give people real specifics because
It's lifeadvice@louderwithcrowder.com.
lifeadvice@loudwithcrowder.com or tweet me at SCrowder. I want to know where you voted, right? Tell us the actual polling station or if you have a picture, because then we can follow up and track it. And if we can find even a handful of places that were using Sharpies, that is systemic. They know better than to give you Sharpies. They know that you should not be voting with Sharpies, and that makes it easy to manipulate votes. And at the very least, any ballots that have Sharpies should be discounted, and there should be a recount with those. So we heard about it in Arizona. Now we're hearing about that in Michigan, and you just saw for yourself what happened in Michigan. Listen, I was a guy who always said there's a lot of ineptitude with votes, right? 2.5 million, at least, potentially compromised votes due to ineptitude, largely because of the United States Postal Service. This is actually something a little bit more malicious.
Yeah. So we're still in the process of.
Can you pause 1 second? I want to, but Donald Trump apparently was going to hold a press conference.
Yeah.
They were saying, is he going on right now? They're just not showing it on CNN because am I hearing that he declared victory in Pennsylvania?
So just to give a little context,
hold your thoughts though. Don't forget your thoughts, guys.
His campaign manager said, "We're declaring a victory in Pennsylvania" on a press call. He said, "This is not based on gut or feel. This is based on math." And then his campaign advisor, Jason Miller, also John Roberts, is reporting that he broke the math down. He said there are 605,000 outstanding day of ballots in Arizona. Trump only needs 57.73% of that remaining day of vote, and that's far less than he's been getting. So the math, he says the Trump campaign predicts they will declare a victory in Arizona by Friday. So that sounds like it has a little more nuance to it.
Yeah.
But Trump is holding a press conference in Pennsylvania at 3:30.
Well, but it's at 3:30 Eastern or at 3:30 Central, because that would be right now.
Yeah, I think it's.
Sometimes he goes late.
And it looks like
CNN,
Biden.
CNN saying Biden's about to speak.
Well, is Trump about to speak? Can we go to maybe a network that actually cares about it?
We're checking it. We're checking it.
No, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm mad at CNN.
No, I'm mad at all.
So they are telling me right now, okay, here you go. Holtz, Summit, Missouri, with Sharpies being handed out at my polling station. Wow. Too Cute Maddie is not here right now. Maybe we can bring in Too Cute Maddie. She can call her mom if her mom was. She said her mom was handed a Sharpie.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And can someone bring up that little? I know we saw it earlier, the Sharpie thing in the video, but the actual sort of outline saying "Do not use a Sharpie." Can someone actually get that to me so we can show it to people on air?
Yeah, because we've got some conflicting information. Because there's a Maricopa County elections tweet from 23 hours ago saying that they can use Sharpies because they have new offset columns on the ballots, which will prevent bleed through.
Okay.
So we want to be accurate, but that kind of contradicts what the video from the 2 voters in Arizona were saying, that it was not going through for them.
Yeah. Well, they were saying that in Arizona, but now we're talking about Missouri and we're talking about Michigan.
Other places, yeah.
Because right now, Sharpies handed out at Apache Junction, Arizona, Pinal County, Four Peaks Elementary, Livonia, Michigan, they gave them Sharpies. Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, they gave me a Sharpie. York, Pennsylvania. Ogama County, Michigan, Sharpies. A lot of people right now saying they had been given Sharpies, and so it does come down to are all of these places capable of processing Sharpies? What were you about to say there?
Here's that visual of the ballot that says, "Do not use a Sharpie type pen as it will bleed through."
Do not use
I don't know
a
what
Sharpie
state
type
that is
pen as it will bleed through.
Yeah,
well, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
That's
Go back to that.
Arizona
Go back to that right
ballot.
there. That's an Arizona ballot, and it's 520. It says you may call their office. A list of write-in candidates. You may call their office at 520-724-6830. So there is a number there, so we can probably trace that.
Yeah, I did already.
That's an Arizona ballot.
Yeah, and if people are emailing life advice, don't just email and say, "Yeah, I got a Sharpie too." Like, we need where you are.
Yes, and not just the
city,
county, the polling station.
The polling station. Please be as specific as possible. We're getting hundreds of emails.
Here's one: Sharpies, Mesa, Arizona, 85202-2051, West Guadalupe. That's very specific. We should be able to find someone and maybe a phone number. I don't think we'll be able to call them because they're all out of work right now. They've left, provided that they're not boarding up the glass counting.
Right now, one of the individuals who was messaging earlier, it was his brother. So him and his brother voted in Michigan. The brother was the one who told me that he actually had done it with a Sharpie. That was the one in Livonia. The gentleman who I know actually is the owner of a great ammunition company right outside of Detroit, and that individual went to the polling station with a full headscarf covering the face, was not asked to remove it, no ID check. Go ahead, go on in, do your vote, no problem.
Okay.
And so there's some other problems and variances. If you're out there if you're out there doing the retweet or out there commenting, go ahead and make sure to mention that as well.
So here's something I want. If we can get some research here, I know Donald Trump is going to be speaking in just a couple of minutes. I know he's running a little bit late. If someone out there in the control, if you guys can look for Pennsylvania, for Missouri, and find the little instruction pamphlet for filling out ballots, and if it mentions Sharpies, because we have another specific one, elementary, Lansdale, Pennsylvania. So we need to know if these instructions are saying do not use a Sharpie. If we can find those instructions for those states, that shouldn't be too hard to find. Pennsylvania, Missouri, if someone can look for it, then that shows us that there's something going on that's a problem. It may not be a huge deal, but when you combine all of this together, Sharpie, 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 which could create some bleed through, and then you also have what's going on there in Wayne County. I mean, that's what's really disturbing. What's happening there in Detroit.
So now we're hearing some reports from folks that are now complaining about the Michigan GOP, saying that the Michigan GOP is, because they're having so many people watching at Cobo Hall, that they're preventing Democrat lawyers from going in to actually look at what's going on, which seems absurd. You just push past people, man. You ever been to a concert? Yeah. But the long and short of it is there's a lot happening.
There certainly were no GOP watchers right there at 4:30 in the morning. We saw for ourselves.
Well, we know that there weren't, and that's what they're saying is right now this kind of quote unquote tense situation, as CNN has called it, has only increased, and you know why it has increased is because of the fact that they're putting up that Bristol board, preventing people to be able to see what's going inside. It's not like the eyeballs are changing the votes, people. I mean, what's happening inside of there is what's happening inside of there. You've let CNN on the inside. Why can't those people who are on the outside watch as well? It does raise a lot of questions.
Well, they let CNN on the inside, and they took down some Bristol boards by the time CNN went. Let's be really clear. The entire perimeter was covered up with boards, and you contrast that with just a couple of little squares. One looks like a prison, and one looks like a decorative choice.
Very, very different. Weird how they have.
Oh, I see you're going for election fraud contemporary.
Whoa.
Man.
Of the Bauhaus.
Hey, are you going to get some food or what?
Seriously,
I'm going to need to eventually get some food, but I'm hoping that I'll go when Donald Trump's press conference starts, because people want to hear him and not me so much.
That's the best way to get him to start the press conference.
Right. So Donald Trump, President Trump, please start your conference.
He's watching. He's like, when's Steven going to leave? I want to annoy him. That's my Trump.
But why are we saying that ABC didn't call Arizona and retract? It's just they just didn't call it.
I guess they didn't call it, and it was the first comment kind of zeal that people were saying that they did.
But many places did call Arizona.
I think Fox called Arizona.
Well, and CNN.
Fox and AP both called Arizona.
Okay, and right now you're saying, what was it, something orbital saying that Arizona is, are they still saying potentially leaning toward Trump?
Yeah.
Wow. There must be something there in Arizona, that remaining 5% that we don't know. Gosh. And God only knows what would happen without the Sharpies.
Yeah.
Also, you think of the demographic of people who are going to use Sharpies. Probably a lot of confused old white people.
Just give me the big pen.
Right?
Somebody who didn't bring their own pen? Is that what are you saying?
Well, I'm going to see, confused old white people will be like, I need to fill out my ballot. And they'll give you this. You're like, doesn't that seem a little thick? Nah, this will work fine. Okay. Why would you lie to me? And that's what happened.
It's hot outside.
Whereas, other young people will be like, what are you, an idiot? I'm not going to use a Sharpie. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because they've used Scantrons before.
Yeah, because they use Scantrons. I'm just saying old people they're those people who got confused in Florida because they didn't know how to punch a ballot, and you're giving them a large, imprecise, permanent marking tool that bleeds through fucking paper. Pardon my language.
Well, I remember when I was in school and they were so particular about the number 2 pencil, as if there's just a bunch of people bringing in other sorts.
I told you that was me. I would deliberately fail the test by bringing in, I don't even know if it was a number 4, but I'd be like, I didn't study, so I knew that it wasn't a number 2.
Just get a dark pencil?
No, I would just get a different pencil, and what I would do is I would fill it in kind of poorly. So I would fill in some really, really heavily, and then some really lightly. They'd be like, there was something wrong with your Scantron. I'm like, can you take your test again? I'm like, not now. I got to get in the right mental state. Then I find the Asian, cheat off him.
This story does not surprise me
at
all.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into
not working.
I put a lot of effort into cheating on homework in high school because in Canada you were graded on homework and we would have 3 hours of homework every night.
Because it's kind of a brilliant thing. So you were smart, and then just not channeling it into study.
You're just trying to be nice. I wasn't very smart. I was just a crook. I was a petty thug.
Good character trait to put
a small.
You were about to say something there, Reg?
Oh, I was going to say the data orbital. What they're basing that prediction on is people generally assume that early ballots are going to favor Biden, but the early ballots that are outstanding in Arizona are from counties that lean very heavily Trump.
Okay.
And so they say, the analysis on outstanding ballots being mostly from Maricopa and favoring Biden misses a huge factor. At least 250,000 of the remaining ballots have a Republican advantage of 20%.
Oh yeah, and what's the margin there in Arizona? I know Nevada's really close with 8,000 votes. Is it 20,000 votes in Arizona right now? So 250,000, if there's a 20% advantage, that makes sense. And like I was saying, it really does come down to these counties that still have to come in and if they're mail-in votes or if they're same-day votes. And states do it differently. It does seem like we should have a streamlined, consistent process. But if Donald Trump does win Arizona, that changes things quite a bit. No one's even talking about Georgia and North Carolina. The hell happened to those states?
Yeah. Well, and they were among the first to close their polls. And again, we're not even
still waiting.
Yeah, we're still waiting to count things.
I want to take my polls.
Why are you looking at me?
Use
I'm not
a
taking
Sharpie.
I'm not taking a poll. And we heard one of the folks in Michigan was actually saying, I think this was in Warren, Michigan, was given a pen to use, ballpoint, and then told, oh, no, that one's dirty. Go ahead and put it in the dirty pen cup. And then, here's what you can use instead, Sharpie.
Really?
See, that just sounds so suspect to me.
So suspect.
We do have the margin here on Arizona.
The margin in Arizona. Yeah. All right. The margin in Arizona is what? How many votes is it?
So total vote count for Biden 1,411,235, and then Donald Trump 1.
So it's almost 100,000 that need to be made up.
It is a big margin.
So even if that's 250,000 votes that are outstanding and it's a 20% advantage to Trump, that wouldn't be enough.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly if we've gotten new numbers there, since the data orbital report.
Since the data orbital report.
I'm not sure what they were working off of.
Yeah, it's tough to know. That's the problem, is it's fluid and you can't trust. Oh, what are they? Are they in Detroit? Oh, they're in Atlanta right now. Well, look, hey, they're in Atlanta, but nothing's boarded up. Can you guys see this on CNN? Oh, CNN just froze on us.
It's Fox. It's Fox.
They're in Atlanta and nothing is boarded up. That was Fox. They were in Atlanta. So I don't understand the reason. I don't understand the reason for boarding up a polling station.
Yes, you do. It's bullshit.
No, I do understand the reason if it's nefarious.
Yeah, that's the only reason to do it.
It's nefarious.
Definitely nefarious.
It's litigious. It's lascivious. It's non-prestigious. It's malicious. It's outrageous.
Outrageous.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I missed that reference.
No,
I have no culture.
It was the Johnny Cochran parody on Seinfeld.
She
I am so
She doesn't even know what
ashamed.
Seinfeld is.
I don't even know what I'm talking
what
about.
Seinfeld is. Excuse me.
She knows what Seinfeld is. She just doesn't know what's in it.
I don't watch it like I watch
Like
The
a ballot.
Office. Yeah.
Let's see what Dana Bash is saying here. Is Donald Trump not speaking yet? Because I need to get some food in me.
Let's go, man.
No, also Pennsylvania.
Possibly the case?
You're giving a very practical answer, and I happen to agree with it, right? I mean, the Supreme Court of the United States, the members, why would they decide that they want to take it upon themselves to hear an issue?
Did you see that clank?
In Michigan go the way that they seem they're trending, Pennsylvania will become an irrelevancy.
So, big picture, you kind of mentioned this.
It's irrelevant
at the
if Trump wins. You see,
do you feel?
Isn't it interesting? They said it's all going to come down to Pennsylvania, folks. Then they call Arizona really early, and now Michigan has. There's no mention of voter fraud or the idea that there's something going on with the votes in Michigan on CNN. They say it's a very tense atmosphere. Oh, why is it tense?
Why
What's
is
tense?
that? Why is that?
Do they not trust you for some reason?
It's like showing up at a biker bar and two gangs are fighting. Like, it's a little bit tense here. What's that going on behind you? Some tension.
Nothing to see here,
Why
folks.
is it tense? Is it tense because people were carrying in burlap sacks filled with ballots that may or may not have been filled in with Sharpies, and we'll never know the answer? We'll never know what happened because they put up paper boards to keep you from seeing what was happening? Is that why there's tension? Why doesn't someone just ask, when we talk about people like doing their job, why doesn't someone just there in the control room at CNN go, hey, attention, hey, what's with all the wallpaper on the windows there? Oh, I don't know.
You have a good point.
Shouldn't you? I guess I could do reporting.
Should you ask a question?
Yeah. Should you ask any question?
Rather than just looking around and going, looks like they're counting some ballots here.
Let's hear what Jake Tapper's saying, because it's usually really smug and self-righteous for his
Wilmington, Delaware, that former Vice President Joe Biden is going to come out and speak soon. Let me bring in Jeff Zeleny, our reporter on the ground there. Jeff, what are we expecting Biden to say? He cannot yet declare victory. Nobody has declared him the winner. There remain many outstanding states. What is he going to do?
Jake, I am told that Joe Biden is going to do what his campaign has been saying all day long, that he believes he is on a track toward victory. I'm told that he is not going to declare victory himself, but he is going to call for the fair counting of all ballots. And he is going to, we're told by advisors, and this could be fluid here, but he is going to push back against these suggestions of fraud.
We believe that Joe Biden is going to come out today and speak about the election, namely that it's happening and he's in it.
Where he accepted the Democratic presidential nomination.
Thank you. That's about all the reporting I expect. This is CNN, the most trusted name in news. There's nothing. There is nothing.
You just got to fill something up. Yeah, it's not.
Think about this for a second. We just filled. I mean, we've been broadcasting. By the way, we haven't switched off broadcasters.
Right.
But with a break of what, 4 hours?
We're at
really?
3 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what we've been broadcasting today.
Yeah.
And then last night it was 7 hours plus.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we filled it with exclusive footage of what's been going on there in Michigan that nobody else had, of them bringing in ballots completely unsecured. We have people talking about Sharpies coming. We had a correspondent down there on the ground in D.C. We have footage of people who are getting the crap kicked out of them in D.C. We have states that have been called and then retracted. Yep. We have numbers and polling discrepancies here that haven't been described on CNN, and they've filled time with Joe Biden is going to be speaking, and he will be doing that using his mouth. Jake? What's the value here? Why do we need to keep them alive? Why is CNN authoritative? This is remarkable. Why are they considered authoritative at all? They offer nothing. And this is really what's funny to me. Not funny. I should say amazing. I should tip my hat to them.
You don't mean funny, haha. You mean funny,
I mean funny like I want to stab myself.
Yeah.
Like I want to stab myself in the heart with a number 2 pencil.
You know, I feel like Cenk Uyghur's probably like, yeah, Stephen, do it. And you're like, and then they lean over and they're like, Cenk, you're not allowed to watch Stephen while we're on the show. Sorry, continue. I really imagine.
I especially can't watch him as he's doing me, because then I don't know which one I am.
The inception of Cenk's.
It is kind of a feat when you think about it, the fact that they offer nothing and they still exist.
Yeah.
How has CNN existed this long? Is it just because people assumed they were telling the truth, and now that veil's been lifted, they'll be gone? And this is also what's so concerning when you look at the marriage of big tech and media. This is what is most concerning to me. when it first started, I remember Joe Rogan actually back when he was in his house and he was doing a webcam thing. He had first movers rights with podcasts. I remember him always talking about how this is the new frontier, man. It's just anyone can have a show. You don't need to get a deal on a television network. Why would you want to do that? You can just do your own thing now, and you don't have as many people watching, is what you say. But you have your own little slice of the pie. You have your own little plot of land. Great, that's what we thought, and it was going to change, right? What was going to change when you saw YouTube stars? I remember it sort of started changing when there was a girl named Lisa Nova who was really big on YouTube, and then she was brought onto Mad TV, and she was so bad she was ditched after a season. But we thought, hey, this is showing us that actually people online can create their own programming, and there's no gatekeeper. That was what was seen as the big perk. It's the bathroom wall of society, but anyone can actually create their own content. And now, because they are dying, CNN, that's Turner Broadcasting, right? ABC, Disney, NBC Universal, they are the ones who are spending the most on advertising. And Fox News, by the way, they're not exempt, spending the most on advertising in YouTube, trying to get smaller channels like our own removed, NBC, Vox, Universal, and then getting themselves to be declared authoritative so that our sources, channels like this that actually provide information and actually try to corroborate, actually try to find some verification as to the authenticity, and by the way, have also readily acknowledged mistakes or things that have been called too early on this program. The legacy media outlets, because they have nothing left, they want to squeeze all of the new media programs. That's what's so concerning. And if we don't have an administration who's going to stop it, again, they want to preserve the, basically, I guess, tripopoly, you would call it, on cable news, and they want that to effectively exist online. Fox News, CNN, NBC. ABC doesn't really have a full-service cable news, but it's CNN, NBC, it was MSNBC, and Fox News. They want that to continue online rather than this, and Tim Pool, and sure, the Young Turks, and channels like The Quartering, and sure, channels like, giant dishonest bully pussies like Ethan Klein, H3H3. Still, though, at least there's a market of ideas. They want to silence that out. When you think about how sinister it is, and they tried to paint this idea that it was me versus some gay Latino Latinx gentleman over there who happened to work at Vox, which totally discounts the fact that we criticized Vox many times when it didn't involve gay Latinx members. Think, though, about how a bully is someone who picks on somebody smaller than them. When you have NBC Universal using the power of YouTube to try and squeeze out this, and they're right on par with CNN. And we could tune into NBC right now. You have Brian Williams. Brian Williams shot down in an Apache helicopter. Brian shot down in a helicopter. Williams. What is it with the liberals lying about helicopters?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Hillary Clinton and Brian Williams. Like, they think it's just a lie that's easy to get away with. They're like, well, no one's going to fact check a helicopter because no one's ever been in one. I have no idea. But think of how bullying that is. That's also why I had a problem with that H3H3, that Ethan Klein, doing a whole video on The Quartering.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, and that Quartering has a fraction of the viewership, and he didn't have him on. He didn't have him on to debate him.
Ethan's a big bitch.
He just called him whatever it was, a racist, a sexist, because of his criticisms of Black Panther and Brie Larson.
Whatever.
Like, listen, if you're the bigger guy and you're going to punch down, you have to give the smaller guy an opportunity to speak back. That's not what they want to do. That's not what NBC Universal wanted to do with us, and that's not what CNN wants to do with any independent voices on YouTube. And I say that because guess what? If it weren't for this broadcast and people like this, you wouldn't know anything that's going on right now. You wouldn't know about Sharpies. You wouldn't know about what are they called, the flyer wagons? Big flyer?
Yeah, with the radio flyer.
Radio flyer. You wouldn't know about radio flyer wagons. You wouldn't know that there are people actually trying to pay attention to the polling stations. You wouldn't know any of these things. You wouldn't have a lawyer who came in out of his lovely work day, where I'm sure he had clients far more pleasant than me, to bring in witnesses, to bring in other lawyers, to bring in verification, to bring in evidence. You would have none of those things. You would just have David Axelrod and Rick Santorum / Wallace and Gromit stand-in, who I like, nice guy, talking about how Joe Biden's going to give a speech regarding the election. There is nothing there at all. Not to mention, they've never created a piece of content in their life. They've never done a parody. They've never done a sketch. They've never done a Change My Mind. They've never created anything new, and they don't even discover new stories. And when there are new stories, they actually can't be bothered to check them, like Hunter Biden crack. There is no reason for CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, as in their current iterations, there is no reason for them to exist anymore. They are of no value. They provide you with no service whatsoever. It would be like you having a cable television provider that just didn't provide you TV.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I paid for cable television. Like, yeah, but we gave you a turtle. I don't like turtles. Oh, well.
Yeah, we're back to that.
Put it in the suggestion box.
But what kind of turtle?
Put it in the suggestion box. I'll be here somewhere between December 23rd and February 26th between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. to remedy the problem.
Yeah. Well, look at this garbage lower third at CNN. So Biden urges patience as Trump threatens lawsuits. Well, the reason that Biden is urging patience is because he knows that you're going to carry his water.
It's
And
working
you're gonna
out
make
for
sure
him.
everything works out. Yeah,
That's why.
Right, and Trump is threatening lawsuits because that's a legitimate way of making sure everything's done legally and correctly.
Right. Let me ask you this: do you believe that in any field that people don't make mistakes? That for some reason human nature vanishes? That people are all inherently altruistic? No, of course not. You have that anywhere. Wait, we get into scuffles here in the studio. It happens all the time. Me and Bill in the office. Sometimes it's been legendary, right? People have disagreements, and people are wrong. When have you ever seen Biden call the media to the mat for anything?
Yeah.
Ever? They've never gotten it wrong. They've never gotten it wrong. Biden thinks that the mainstream media, that CNN, is flawless. Think about that for a second.
Oh,
Nothing.
no, Stephen, I have to push back.
What?
Do you remember that one time when someone asked Joe about Hunter?
It was one time.
He went absolutely insane.
He said you would ask questions like that.
Yes, I am a journalist.
And you know what? You know what was even more telling about that? Can we bring up that clip, by the way? Someone asking Joe Biden about Hunter. That's one where he's coming off the plane.
That's it.
Coming off the plane. He says, you would ask a question like that. People may not know this when they watch it. They may not necessarily recognize it. He does it, and he dismisses the guy, and he looks over at the other members of the press like, right? He's not going to be in the cool kids club anymore. You know better than to ask those questions, right, kiddos? That's what I saw when I saw that.
Right, and the question was something like, care to comment on the current controversy, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Wow, that guy's real. That's a real John Stossel grilling. For crying out loud.
We got Biden coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Biden coming out. But Trump isn't speaking yet? Let's make sure that we keep our eyes peeled.
I haven't seen anything.
All right, Biden
Harris
coming out.
is with him as well.
Can you guys handle his commentary real quick?
Yeah,
Can you
we
guys watch it
gotcha.
while I go pee and eat something?
No problem.
It says.
Ow! Ow, my robe!
There's like 12 people in there.
All right, he's.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kamal and I.
He knows what time of
we're
day
here
it
to
is.
make
Great.
a
It's a good start.
brief statement, and I'm sure we'll have more to say later, and either tonight or tomorrow. But let me begin by thanking the press for being here and thanking everyone else. My fellow Americans yesterday
And you know the thing.
once again proved that democracy is the heartbeat of this nation. Just as has
Still a
been the
republic.
heartbeat of this nation for 2 centuries. And even in the face of a pandemic, more Americans voted this election than ever before in American history. Over 150 million people cast their votes.
But you know what he doesn't want to
I think
talk
that's
about
just extraordinary.
is how many more minorities voted.
If we had any doubts,
Republican.
Yeah, because that's
Right.
awkward for him.
we shouldn't have any longer about a government of, by, and for the people. It's very much alive in America. Here, the people rule. Power can't be taken or asserted.
Sure can.
It flows from the people.
That's why you want it so
And it's
much.
their will that determines who will be the president of the United States, and their will alone.
And Sharpies.
And now, after a long night of counting, it's clear
What's that smirk about?
that we're
Side
winning
smile.
enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency.
Declared victory.
I'm not here to declare that we've won.
Yes, he is.
That's what he just did.
Except the
Well, I
thing
am
you
here to
just
report.
said.
I think you did.
When the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners.
Tell us why.
Oh, of course it freezes.
Oh man, here
we'll
we
click
go.
over.
So let's while we're here, I just couldn't help but think that this was just reading a bunch of platitudes. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
vague.
Someone needs
We
win. Can we run that speech at some point?
Here
A
Back on.
substantially
Through a
bigger margin than President
plagiarism
Trump won
machine.
Michigan in 2016. Michigan will complete its vote soon, maybe as early as today. And I feel very good about Pennsylvania. Virtually all the remaining ballots to be counted were cast by mail. And we've been winning 78% of the votes by mail in Pennsylvania.
That's why they wanted mail-in voting.
We flipped Arizona and the 2nd District of Nebraska.
I do like this
Of
phrase.
special significance
Here,
to me
the people rule.
is that we won with the majority of the American people. And every indication is that the majority will grow. We have a popular vote lead of nearly 3 million votes, and every indication is that will grow as well. Indeed, Senator Harris and I are on track to win more votes than any ticket in the history of this country that ever won the presidency and vice presidency. Over 70 million votes. I'm very proud of our campaign. Only 3 presidential campaigns in the past have defeated an incumbent president. When it's finished, God willing, we'll be the 4th. This is a major achievement. This is a major achievement.
So I'm curious.
And it's been a long and difficult
We're
campaign.
going to need to make sure, Reg, maybe take a look at where has the stock market been today as we've seen some of this
for our
back and
country.
forth.
A hard time.
It looks like it's up right
We've
now.
had
And
hard
especially
campaigns before.
Last night, some movement.
We've faced
in the foreign
hard times
markets.
before. So once this election is
pretty interesting
finalized
statement about
and behind us, it'll be time for us to
economy.
do what we've always done as Americans. To put the harsh rhetoric
I thought he was
of the
going to say
campaign
eat
behind
burgers.
us.
I keep
To
waiting for
lower
his
the
teeth to
temperature.
fall out.
To see each other again, to listen to one another, to hear each other again, and respect and care for one another.
Man, we do that already.
I'm not hearing a lot of calls to count
heal,
every vote.
to come together as a nation. I know
Just
this
that he
won't be
knows
easy.
they're going to go for him.
I'm not naive. Neither of us are. I know how deep and hard the opposing views are in our country on so many things. But I also know this as well.
That's what she said.
To make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as enemies.
Wait,
we
when?
are not
When?
enemies.
I disagree with that. I
What
disagree
brings
with
us
that.
together
We
as
are-
Americans is so much stronger than anything that can tear us apart. So let me be clear. We are campaigning as a Democrat,
Here we go. He's
but
breaking
I will
down.
govern
campaigning as
as an
Democrats.
American president.
But that's what you do.
The,
as president.
the presidency itself is not
correct
a partisan institution.
So he said
It's
not
the
as a
one
Chinese
office
president, right?
in this nation that represents everyone. And it demands a duty of care for all Americans.
And sniffing.
That is precisely what I will do.
Come on.
I will work as hard for those who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did vote
take
for me.
take the guns away, raise taxes.
Now-
all that.
Well, wait,
Every vote must be counted.
Yeah.
By saying he's
There's
going
every
to
vote.
No one's
represent
trying to take
everyone,
our
is he saying
democracy
he's
away
giving
from
up
us.
every point
Not
in his
now,
entire,
not
every
ever.
plank in his platform?
America's
Right.
come too far. America's fought too many battles.
Yeah,
America's
the
endured
interesting
too
thing
much.
is that he's, saying that,
Never let
I'll
that
be
happen.
just president for everyone,
We, the
whereas he was
people,
calling Trump voters
will
those
not be
ugly
silenced.
guys just
We,
last
the
week.
people,
Yeah, boy.
will
I
not
took
be
that very
bullied.
personally. I
We, the people, will
got on a
not
new weight loss
surrender.
regimen, decided to
friends,
work on my skincare
confident
routine. Yeah.
Will emerge victorious.
Thanks, Joe.
You do have a
looking
nice
great.
little glow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this will not be my victory alone or our victory alone. It'll be a victory for the American people.
No, because you
for
got
our
big tech on your
democracy, for America.
side.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's also a victory
There
for
will be
Dorsey,
no blue
Zuckerberg,
states
and
and red
in
states
media.
when we win.
Wojcicki.
Just the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Where are our
Or
troops
not a
right
victory
now?
statement on the part of Joe Biden, yet confident with the numbers.
You know, it is interesting when you hear at the very beginning, he said, we've got 270 votes, but we're not, electoral votes, but we're not declaring victory. So then I would ask you this. You've got a very interesting dichotomy. Mainstream media is carrying the water for the Democrats, for Joe Biden. They are declaring victory in a number of states where there is still some large question and very tight margins, but their candidate is coming out and saying you can't make the call.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very interesting. Some earlier today we were hearing from folks who were saying yes, there's going to be voting completed by end of the day today for Michigan, but I'm going to guess by where things are right now, we're going to go into the evening for that, and then Pennsylvania by the end of the week. Though you have seen a lot of folks who are calling Wisconsin. They're saying that the vote count is pretty much done and all the way for Biden.
Well, yeah, and CNN just projected that Biden would win Michigan. That's
So
their,
have we-
their
where-
current
Haven't
lower
they?
third.
But haven't
They've
they
been saying
been
this
predicting
all
that
night.
for a while? I kind of
Yeah.
feel like with the estimated tally
All
coming
night.
in, it's like the old
Yeah, did I miss that?
downloading where it's like you've only got 96. You've got 96%. And
Yeah.
it stays there for 7 hours
So when
on
you,
dial-up.
And when you look at the New York Times, I know we're switching between just to kind of cover the different coverage. Wisconsin being called by the New York Times, not surprised there, given where the data is currently and some of the other websites. But then Michigan, not yet called by the New York Times, though CNN has decided they have the answer there. And then still Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, kind of negligible in its decision, and then also Pennsylvania still not ruled by the New York Times. Though interestingly, I'm not sure, maybe we just missed it here. Did CNN already call North Carolina and Georgia?
No, those states have
No,
been up.
they're still.
Still going. Okay.
Yeah, they're still
Like
going.
yeah, it feels like days. It's not.
I am excited to hear Jake Tapper talk about how bad it is that Biden declared victory. I think that's I'm looking forward to that
I'm
commentary.
sorry, I am back. By the way, there's some Chick-fil-A out there for anyone if you guys want to switch
Hey.
off.
I licked
One
it
at a
all.
time.
Jesus chicken.
All
So
of
you,
it.
so you missed your good friend Joe. He started by saying that he had 270 votes, but then he didn't really not yet, but he thinks that he will at some point, but he's not declaring victory. But platitude. Oh yeah, thank the troops. Bye.
Oh, okay, very nice. Hold on, you guys keep carrying. I have to send a text really quickly. Okay, you
Big-
guys continue.
Big pet peeve with the Democrats and sometimes the Republicans. For the final time, America is a republic, not a democracy.
They keep saying this.
So when
Our
we can't have our democracy taken away. That's technically true because we were never a democracy.
Never had
and
it.
you can't take away something that you never had.
And I also let you guys know that when I came in earlier today, just as a quick point, someone asked me, because this is the protocol when I come in usually on the show, did I want to robe up? And I thought to myself,
Did I take it?
3 in the afternoon. And then I realized
We started early, man.
Wait a minute,
Yeah, we've been here a while.
Then I realized how long you guys are here.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to tell you, I've gotten some really awesome.
And I didn't expect you to show up today, so I appreciate you being here. I realized no one reached out to Gerald, so we might see if he can come in.
No, we did. So I decided just to come here on my own because we were doing the story about Detroit. I swung by Gerald, slashed his tires, and I think
Sure.
he's walking. So
That's good.
I really like Courtney
Looking forward to
instead
that.
as my seatmate. So
She's prettier than Gerald.
I mean, by
I mean, that's not really
by
a
a
hard
California Democrat
benchmark
mile.
to
Yes, I don't know what that means.
It means
Yes.
there's a lot of Democrats in California, and they win a lot.
But you said miles singular, so I was just confused. I'm a little tired. I'm hoping now I've got some because we don't have any. We don't have. I'm only drinking this energy drink because we don't have any more Black Rifle coffee, and I refuse to drink. I refused it. The coffee that we have, I'm not giving my money to those Mexicans. You were.
I think they're Colombian.
It's Rudamaya coffee.
Why?
Because they sell it in like giant bags.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad, but it's not great. Like, oh, it's co-op. It's trade friendly. Yeah, but there's poop on it. Well, you win some, you lose some.
It's organic.
You gotta say it's unique at least.
So, was there anything? What did I miss? Anything big happen while I was gone? Sorry, guys.
was
I just
Biden.
had to
Just
go
Biden.
eat. Oh, just Biden. Did Donald Trump give a speech yet?
No.
No
I
new
think
states
it
called?
may be his campaign manager who may be making a statement. It's not exactly clear.
I do like that Stephen thought that we had hid the Donald Trump speech while he was out eating.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that he thinks we would do that.
We would never
because
tell
we would
you.
definitely do that.
I do, and I appreciate everyone. This is like where when I get tired, that's where I get like lovey-dovey. I'm like, I really just am so grateful that all of you folks are here with us. And please, I mean, I know that so many of you have joined up at Mug Club, but if you haven't, the only way we're able to do this, like you just saw that what could be a big exclusive scoop from today, just a little bit earlier in Wayne County in Detroit. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen if we don't have, sometimes we're not even necessarily looking for these stories, but we have the infrastructure, and that infrastructure is entirely because of you joining. So please do consider louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. You enter in the promo code Crowder election stream, and you will get $30 off. So everyone is a student or active military. And you know what? Not active. Well, you're not actually active military. I don't mean stolen valor, but I'm saying you get the same price as people who are active military or veterans or students. And today we are all students of life. So I think it's appropriate. Speaking of students of life, Reg, did you switch your flight to leave later today? Or tomorrow?
I don't think anything's been switched yet.
Oh no, Johnny Boy's going to be taking care of it for you.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying
okay. I think
yet.
Reg is here begrudging.
Now, no.
I think you wanted to go home. I think that Reg is one of those things. You ever have one of those friends in school who like you just think it's like almost like a man crush you just think is really cool, and you want to be best friends, but they're like, that's Reg with me.
You know how many times I email him and he just sends back an ellipsis, and I'm like, but does this mean he's gonna write me back?
Do you know how many times I've seen Reg like, he was going to be responding, and then it's like, and then it says like, so he's typing a message, and then he just goes like, and nothing ever comes through.
Reg is hard to get.
Oh man, I'm really mysterious. I got to keep this mystique
but
going.
Easy to
keep
love.
Everyone interested.
Easy to love.
Yeah. So we do have an update here.
I don't like it.
Yeah. It's not a good update. CNN and Decision Desk both called Michigan for Biden.
Wow. So voter fraud really pays.
Yeah. The thing here is that when you have Wisconsin and Michigan, and we already know that I think Trump has a lawsuit in regards to Michigan, right?
Yeah.
And then he's already going to have a recount in Wisconsin.
I think it's Wisconsin. Yeah, that's right. It's
no. We have the recount in Wisconsin, definitely.
Yeah. Do we have a recount in Wisconsin and a lawsuit in Michigan, or the lawsuit in Pennsylvania?
We have a lawsuit in Michigan.
Wow.
I'll put it in there so we can bring that up. It's crazy. We've done all this morning, and then I've already forgotten about it.
Do better, Reg.
So
crazy.
It's interesting to me. It's not so significant to be calling states when well, we're going to have a recount anyway.
Right.
We're going to have to go through this. It's still maybe it's another piece of information, but it's not as important in my mind as when we're calling it on election night when you've got an overwhelming margin.
Right. Well, let's if you put that up there for Biden, so if we put that up there on the map, Michigan for Biden, and what was the other one they called for Biden? Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I think that was just it. So can I preview an issue that I think we're going to start seeing more of? I'm getting some messages.
We get it. You don't have enough women because there are too many boy births. That's not an unforeseen issue. It's been happening in China for a while.
I was going to say the hormone that prevents my skin from looking yellow, but yeah, I just wanted to mix it up a little bit. Yeah. Jaundice and all. I did have jaundice when I was born. Could you imagine?
So did I. I had jaundice, and I had black hair, and I had a football head. Yeah. I was an ugly, ugly baby.
Did you say did have a football head? No, I'm kidding. Okay,
now I have a head that looks like an egg. I had an actual head that looked like a football.
Steven, tell me your opinion about ballot curing.
Ballot curing. Is that where they hang them in curing barns before they send them to the fermentation process?
That is a terrible joke. No, it's called ballot remediation.
Okay.
And it's when you go in and fix a absentee ballot or a mail-in ballot that was done incorrectly. Mm-hmm. And I just got a message that was talking about how there are folks who are sending out messages into Cobb. Is it DeKalb or DeKalb? Gwinnett and Fulton
so smart now, aren't you?
County. Never have been. You're the sucker. Boom. Is in Georgia, who are making calls to have a bunch of different ballots cured from these absentee mail-in ballots that came into those 4 counties. Again, those 4 counties being the biggest ones, and that are still kind of that last few percentage left in Georgia with a very narrow margin between the 2 candidates right now. So there's still a lot more happening, and we're going to need to be keeping an eye on ballot curing or ballot remediation. Curious to see if anyone else is seeing messages going out in some of these battleground states and precincts about, hey, let's go in and fix the ballots that were done incorrectly before, and how that changes the numbers.
Was anyone able to bring up the voting pamphlet, the information on filling out ballots from any of those states, Missouri or?
So I saw one from Allegheny County, and it said you have to use a blue or black ink pen, or your ballot may not be counted.
Where did you see that?
It's got a picture from a client of mine who is in Philadelphia.
Did we send it to them so they can bring it up?
Nope, I will send it right now. Sorry, in Pennsylvania, not in Philadelphia.
So in Pennsylvania, because we had a lot of people who used Sharpies in Pennsylvania. We had people
and
named
Michigan.
At Michigan, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Arizona. They mentioned specifically Sharpies, and they mentioned those specific polling stations. So in Pennsylvania, at the very least, we know they are telling you not to use a Sharpie.
There's also, I've got one from a guy in Ann Arbor. He said felt tip pen issue here. Let's see. If I butcher this name, Washita County polling station at the Church and Temple Beth. He wore a Trump 2020 mask, and they asked him to take it off and go back to the car, get another mask, so they knew he was a Trump voter.
Yeah, there was that.
Then he came back, and they gave
Can they do that?
I don't think you're allowed to campaign at a polling place.
Well, you're not allowed to wear political gear.
Yeah, political message.
I mean, come on. You can't walk in there and just be wearing a full tracksuit for any candidate.
No, I said a Trump mask, but okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he went back and they gave him a felt tip pen, not a Sharpie. And there were ball tip pens there, but they didn't give it to him. He wrote in, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that was not the one I want. I'm sorry if I'm totally screwing this up.
That's okay. If you need to leave and go get some food, since I got food, you can go, and then I can carry this for a little bit.
I did receive a message that said that I don't need to leave for food. It's from my wife.
Ouch.
Oh, she
does care.
She is a delight.
She does care about me.
Did she say maybe you need to do more push-ups?
No, she says I look like a weirdo. No, actually, I'm pretty good at push-ups. I am the push-up champion in the office.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's really easy when you hold a gun on everyone else while they're doing it. And they
I was
get
going to
nervous.
say, what's Brendan?
Just put your foot on the arch of their
this
back.
Office. This is a studio.
your lawyer office.
Yeah, a bunch of wimply arms, little
bunch of desk jockeys.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like I said, I mean, I'm not really like sad, even if Joe Biden wins, which just doesn't really change our fight. I'll be unhappy about it, but I'm not going to be in the depths of despair like people are when Trump won. But there is something that just doesn't really feel like a win for Biden right now. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel that way. When Barack Obama won, I didn't have any. I was like, okay, all right, Barack Obama won, and I remember that I knew he was going to win against McCain. Mm-hmm. And then against Mitt Romney, the polls had it so that Romney actually had a chance. And then when it happened, though, I was like, okay, Barack Obama won. This is a very different feeling if Biden were to actually win, where it's like, this does not feel like a legitimate, it really doesn't feel like a legitimate win. There are too many things that just aren't adding up. And I don't mean that I just don't like Biden, because I don't, but I actually don't dislike Biden more than Barack Obama or than Hillary Clinton. It just, do you know what I mean? There's just something, it doesn't feel like this is an actual winner-loser election.
And I think part of it is that the people who are, scolding us saying, any doubt that Biden, that he's not the victor, that this is all disinformation or conspiracy theory. These are the same people that have been telling us that there was going to be this blue wave, right? That it was going to be a Biden landslide. So it's like, I'm not really inclined to believe you right now if you've been, telling me that Biden's been up by 10, 11 points, when it's already this narrow. So, yeah, it does seem pretty fishy. We were able to find some of the ballots that I think one from Pennsylvania and another from Missouri, and they do both mention a black ink pen or a blue or black ink pen. Now I don't know.
And in Arizona it said not a Sharpie, so that's the difference. In Arizona it said do not use a Sharpie. These ones are just sort of inferring that you're an idiot.
In Maricopa County they were saying that they said that it was okay to use a Sharpie. They tweeted that out yesterday that they'd updated their ballot. So I don't know that angle will turn out to be anything. It'll just depend.
But it also depends, again, on the type of ballot, right? I didn't even use any kind of writing utensil. In fact, they have a little stylus, and I did an electronic one when I cast my vote yesterday. So what you're seeing is across the different jurisdictions, they have different standards. It's part of the problem, but you have standards that allow for making sure that you don't get the bleed-through issue or things like that, and that it's the responsibility of the voting officials in those jurisdictions to prevent it.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. They called it Michigan for Biden, which I don't believe. Hold on a second. My dad is texting me here really quick. If we want to have Dan Crenshaw, he can come on right now. So if you guys can...
Well, let's send him a congrats. Yeah, we should definitely
send him a congrats. And he couldn't be on earlier this morning, so I do have to read him the riot act a little bit.
Yeah.
But
that victory hangover, I think.
Yeah, but you sent that thing to them so they can have it as a...
I sent it to them, and I got some other ones I'm sending them right now, so we'll get to that when we hear after.
But let me know when we have Dan Crenshaw on, and of course we can get that on the social, guys. Obviously, people are like, oh, are you? I know I'm not tweeting right now. There are other people who have access to my Twitter and my Instagram, but I want people to know that Dan Crenshaw is coming on the show, and I want to gaze into that baby blue. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun because he's coming off of a victory lap, but he could not come on this morning, which surprised me and disappointed me and makes me think that he will not work hard enough for us as Americans.
Wow, good thing you're Canadian. Boom.
No, I was born in Detroit.
Like I said, Canadian.
I don't like it. I don't like any of this. I don't know when we're going to have to just not broadcast anymore because we stopped, and then this morning we all just said, we're all just married to our phones right now. Let's just get on and talk about this. But now I also think that we underestimated how tired. Yeah, but you're always married to sleep.
I mean, so the Trump the Trump campaign conference, they had to move the location. That's why they haven't given the conference yet, because there were angry protesters there, and the Secret Service said it was too dangerous. So they moved the location.
Whereas Biden just showed up at an old drive-in movie theater.
Right.
And no one even so much showed up with a pellet gun.
So right now there are 5 states uncalled. Is that correct? So Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada?
Well, it depends who you ask, because not every...
They still don't have...
On our board, I guess.
They still don't have Alaska.
Yeah, they don't have Alaska.
Yeah, we have Alaska.
Yeah. That's probably pretty safe.
I think that's just an oversight. We have we have Representative Crenshaw. All right, make sure that I can see him there. Quarter Black Garrett. Hey. Senor Crenshaw, are you there? Can you see and hear me, sir?
I can see and hear you. Can you see and hear me?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you. So first off, congratulations on your win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, were you out celebrating a whole bunch? Because I know you couldn't be with us this morning, or did you have were you puffy? Is that why you couldn't make it?
No, I was just writing. I was doing some writing and some light reading this morning.
Well, good for you. Some of us can't write. So let me ask you this as it goes. By the way, are you? I'm trying to think. I never know if you hazel, brown, blue. What color? Are you guys?
Color what? Is my eye?
Yeah. Well, see, you said singular, but yes.
It's a hazel.
Hazel,
it's like a
okay.
greenish.
So it changes depending.
kinda.
Like mine can sometimes be brown, or it can be a little more green. Yeah, I was just wondering. For some reason, I thought that you had blue eyes, but that's because of the red beard. So I assumed you were kind of, more of a ginger. You've been following this. No, I only see you look kind of ginger right now.
Do I?
Yeah. Yeah, you look like you could. If you put on a funny metal hat, you could be Cortez.
You're like the first person to ever say that. I have like no red at all. Maybe it's the lighting. I don't know.
Maybe it's the lighting. I have no idea. But we've wasted time here. Mr. Crenshaw, you've been following this. And I don't know if you saw, we had this kind of exclusive here of what was going on in Wayne County. We had some of these videos of people just bringing in coolers and red wagons of votes, completely unsecured, with no security checkpoints behind the glass polling station, which they then covered with Bristol boards. They just called the state of Michigan for Biden, at least on CNN. What's your actual read on what's going on right now? And do you think that that it's a good thing that there will be some lawsuits? Or obviously, it seems like some of these things are going to go to the courts. It does seem as though there are a lot of discrepancies with the voting right now, and there are some things that just don't seem to be adding up.
Right, and these things have to be investigated. I think the unfortunate part is that we sort of expected this.
Right.
And I say it's unfortunate. I've been very outspoken against these sort of frivolous changes in rules and laws and deadlines and the way we do mail-in ballots and the way Democrats want to do ballot harvesting. This loosening of the rules has always been playing with fire. You have to trust the rules of the game. And something as contentious as an election where the transfer of power is at stake, you have to trust that the other side won fair and square. You might be really mad about it, but you have to trust it. And I think the Democrats have done such a horrible, evil disservice to this country by constantly messing with it. This isn't the first time, right? COVID just gave them the excuse. Mm-hmm. They already had the playbook. They've always wanted to do this stuff. I don't know why. I mean, I honestly, it is the worst thing you can do to a country that's already divided and at each other's throats. This is why I would get so heated if I was asked about the mail-in ballot versus the absentee ballot and that whole debate,
right?
For the last few months, because you're changing the rules of the game.
Right.
In the end, voting is a competition. It has to have structure around it, just like any game that you play, right? In the Super Bowl, you don't say, well, why don't we just see how well the teams do if we let them play another 5 minutes?
Right.
And let's just see.
Well, you know what? There's actually, that did happen. A friend of mine, so actually where my dad used to train, I don't know if you follow MMA, a guy named Guy Mezger. He was an early UFC champion. And he was called as a last-minute replacement, to use your analogy, but this actually happened in pride fights. And I don't know if you know pride fights in Japan. They were huge. 65 million people would watch pride fights in Japan. There was a guy named Kazushi Sakuraba who was absolutely like a national idol in Japan, a pro wrestler, and he was also a fighter. This guy, Guy Mezger, was called in to fight Kazushi Sakuraba as a last-minute replacement, like on 2 days' notice. In Pride, they had one 10-minute round, and then they had a 5-minute round. So since he was a 2-day last-minute replacement, they said, sure, we'll take the fight, but we only do the one 10-minute round, okay? The commission, which wasn't very official in Japan, it was run by the Yakuza, they said, okay, absolutely. You coming in, we're just doing it at catchweight, we'll just do one round. Guy Mesger beat Kazushi Sakuraba from pillar to post for 10 minutes, and then the referee came out and said, okay, 2 more round. And there was a brawl in the ring where his coach came and said, no, you can't change that rule because this guy fought everything he had for 10 minutes because he wasn't prepared. So he gave everything he had. He doesn't have anything left for another 5 minutes. And they marked it down as a loss. And it was seen as one of the worst stains in the history of the sport. And also a lot of Japanese fans and Americans lost trust in that sporting organization. So I think that's actually a great example because it actually happened. And I remember experiencing it. It paused the whole event. And you're seen as a very reasonable kind of Republican, conservative, one who obviously favors logic and reason over just hyperbole and rhetoric. But it sounds to me like you're saying the concerns, the fears are not ill-founded for conservatives in this country right now that this election may not have been totally on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to know, right? I mean, we see these anecdotes of potentially, wrongful behavior. We just have to know. Let's not run around like with our hair on fire. We always do this as a movement, and the left does it even worse. I mean, let's call it Americans. As Americans, we do this, right? We see something and we make sure that we have the most emotional reaction possible, and it makes it very easy for the other side to say, "Look at these crazy kooks, look at these conspiracy theorists." Right. So let's just be deliberate. Let's be careful about it. Let's ask for those recounts. Use the courts to make your case, just like use the systems in place as we have a right to do.
Yeah, and this is something. So we were broadcasting for 7 hours last night, or 7.5 hours. 8 million people tuned in. It's great. And we were like, well, I guess we're just going to have to go to bed because CNN and ABC, I think they all said, well, they're no longer going to be counting. We'll reconvene at 9 or 10 a.m. And we were all, I remember this clear as day. People can go watch that stream. 8 million people saw us saying, well, I guess they can't have people working shifts, right? We were just sort of mocking it because, like, why don't they just have people work a night shift? I took an hour nap on a hammock. I woke up and it had flipped in Wisconsin and Michigan. Oh. I mean, why? Why is that? How does that? This is a question I wonder. Since obviously you work in government, we were told they weren't going to be counting. Why were they going to stop counting? And why did they just restart at 5:30 in the morning?
Yeah, and how did it go that drastic? I mean, there might be an explanation, but we just need to know. We don't need to know. We
do not have one.
Which is again why the Trump campaign has every right to ask for that recount and an audit. And to use the courts accordingly. But that's the reality. I mean, they do this to themselves, right? These Democrat-run institutions and states, they do this to themselves. And we can guess at their motivations all day long. It's horrible. It really is. You should just have simple rules that we can all trust so that we don't have these conversations. We shouldn't have to have these conversations.
Well, because they were saying, it's very common for election results not to be determined on the day. And that's true to a certain extent because some ballots, maybe are counted a little bit later. But they were saying, this is normal. This is normal. There's nothing unprecedented. Can you think of any time, and this is me, being a simpleton actually asking because I can't. Can you think of a time in history, something that would have set a precedent that says, all right, when election night happens, we only count votes until 4 a.m. We stop, and then we start up again at 4:45.
Right. And it just seems suspicious. Yes. It just seems suspicious. And it just goes back to this. You've got to protect the institution. And, these people running this stuff, and they just happen to always be Democrats. Right. Have no respect for the sanctity of rules and institutions. And what that does for the public trust, what that does for our democracy. I just find it laughable that they're always talking about Trump attacking our democracy. Right. They've never actually offered any real substantive complaint or example of how he does that. Yeah. I can offer many of how they do it. This is one. Right? You're directly undermining the rules. Right. Maybe they want to pack the Supreme Court. That directly undermines our democracy. Pack the Senate with more senators from D.C., abolish the Electoral College. I can actually point to instances where they directly attack the democracy. Right. So these arguments fall.
It's attacking the institutions versus attacking the accuracy of the process. You know, Donald Trump has attacked. Hey, hold on one second, quarterback guy, can you mute your microphone? He's eating Chick-fil-A. I can hear the arterial sclerosis, for crying out loud.
Chicken.
So listen, he's eating chicken. We've been broadcasting since yesterday, 8 o'clock Eastern, nonstop. So I apologize, Mr. Crenshaw. You deserve better, but this is what you get. It is remarkable. We talked about this. Donald Trump attacks the process. He's going, hold on a second. You have people who've now been given Sharpies to fill out these ballots where people are not supposed to have Sharpies. I don't know if he's necessarily brought up that. He says, hold on a second. Now you're all of a sudden allowing these ballots to be counted even if they're postmarked past election. No, hold on a second. He's not saying, hey, we shouldn't have the Electoral College. I don't trust the American electoral system. He's saying the way you guys are doing it uniquely this go around is a problem. The Democrats want to do away with the Electoral College. The left, they're the ones who actually want to do away with the process and how we vote before, voting in person with exceptions for mail-in voting. And same thing, you know what, Mr. Crenshaw, I think you're this way too, but I think something people miss about President Trump is I noticed he's never attacked Biden voters. He's attacked Biden, he's attacked the media, and people hate him for it. But even his comment where he said, not neo-Nazis and white supremacists who should be condemned totally, he said you had people who wanted to tear those statues down, and you had people who wanted to keep them up, and there were fine people on both sides. He does believe that there are people who vote against him who are decent, who have good intentions, whereas Joe Biden calls Trump voters ugly. We have deplorables. That's something that I think is missed. There doesn't seem to be this disdain for the Biden voter. He does seem to have a genuine disdain for the elites in power. And I think that's a big difference between the current Democrats and even the most sort of Trumpian Republicans.
Yeah. Well, there's this sense of contempt. We always say this, like Democrats or Republicans think Democrats are wrong, but Democrats think Republicans are evil.
Right.
And I think the deeper underlying reason is if you oversimplify to the maximum extent what it means for Republicans to be in control and Democrats to be in control, you could argue that it means this. If Republicans are in control, our basic message is everybody leave each other the hell alone.
Right.
Okay. The Democrats have a fundamentally different message, right? They want more control. They want to implement their social justice, their benevolent programs that they think are going to fix your life, whether you know it or not, or whether you want it or not.
Right.
And they like this sense of control. They believe you should be a different way. It upsets them to an enormous extent when you disagree with that.
Yeah.
And this builds that contempt, right? Like, so it's this stems not just from partisanship, but from our disposition, psychologically speaking, and what we want from government and what we want from society.
Yeah.
We have to understand sometimes, we have to take a step back and just understand that we are wired totally differently. As a conservative and a liberal, we're just wired differently. We come at this from totally different angles. Understanding that is a good first step to, I think, making it through this political life.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that generally conservatives have contempt for authority, ill-gotten authority, and I think that generally liberals have contempt for people who don't fall in line with the collective. I don't have contempt for someone who's voting for Biden because he's bought what I think are intellectual falsehoods. I do have contempt for the person spreading them. I do have contempt for the person saying, you won't pay any more in taxes. And I go, well, I know that's not true. And I run a business and I know that's not true. I don't have contempt for the person who doesn't know it. Let me ask you this, because I know you're busy and everyone is busy, but obviously since now you're a victor, that you can breathe a sigh of relief. Not that it was really going to be a problem for you. How do you see this ending up? Do you see, first off, if you have a gun to your head, I'm not threatening a sitting representative, I'm just saying in a hypothetical scenario, gun to your head, who do you think wins it, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And in either scenario, what do you think the follow-up is with the courts? For example, if Joe Biden is called to win, do you think that they could have a fight in the courts and then it could end up going to Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not good at this kind of punditry. I don't find a lot of utility.
Good for you. We're playing a game here, Dan.
I just don't know. I can just be hopeful, and I'm going to give them good vibes. I think Pennsylvania seems like it's got to be for Trump, and I'm watching the polls continue to come in for Arizona, and then maybe you don't need Wisconsin and Michigan, right? Maybe that's the path. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just hopeful. I do want to give a shout out to Texans for voting against tyranny and socialism in a very profound way.
Yeah.
Texas is not turning blue.
It was still way too close.
It was. I mean, we thought it was going to be a lot closer. So, Cornyn won pretty handedly. We didn't lose the state house. I think on net we didn't lose a single seat. We didn't lose a single house seat. Even those really, really close ones that we thought we'd lose, that previous members had won by a fraction, we won those by more. We didn't flip any, but I think next time we probably could.
Right.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's for Texas. I think it's a good day. I mean, there was a serious stoppage point. Democrats are really going to have to reconsider wasting hundreds of millions of dollars. You have to understand too, like everybody was outspent in Texas.
Right.
I'm one of the few who was not outspent, and everybody else was though. So
where'd you get those? Where'd you get those Big Daddy Warbucks there, Mr. Crenshaw? Get them from the secret Bilderberg meetings.
People, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know.
little Bohemian Grove peeing on redwood action, and then all of a sudden someone passes you a $100 bill. Uncle Samson the Wiser. I know your game. No, I think you ran a good campaign. I do think it was too close for comfort, though, Texas. I said Ohio's not a swing state these last few elections, and I said I would be more surprised if Ohio went blue than Texas. And I didn't think that either were going to go blue. But I would like to see that. What I would like to see is maybe a bit more of an initiative in Texas to educate a lot of the California transplants, because I know that there's a little bit of animosity, like don't bring your policies here. But maybe there could be more of an effort from people like you and people in positions of power in Texas to let Californians know, hey, this is why you left that. This is why Texas is better. This is why your company is here. This is how we preserve it, rather than just take your pot and your Prius back to California.
I feel like somebody should do a video where we take California policies, explain those, and then explain the outcomes that come from those policies, and then post it on Instagram to their 2 million followers.
Oh, a little bit of self-congratulations there. Well, listen, you're taking a victory. You're taking a victory lap, and I don't blame you. But I am glad to see you win. And I do hope that, like you said, I do hope that gap widens a little bit more, and Texas becomes more of the Texas that we know it to be. It was good, but I do think it could be a little
unquestionable would be nice. I don't think it's Californians changing it. That is a bit of a myth, in my opinion. I think your typical super liberal Californian isn't thinking, I want to go to Texas. I think they think, I want to go to Colorado, maybe Arizona.
Yeah.
I think your typical more conservative California comes to Texas. So I think it's our youth, starting to vote. Because young people just are, from a dispositional standpoint, tend to vote Democrat. I think that's really what our obstacle is in Texas.
Representative Crenshaw, Trump's campaign is speaking right now, so I do have to go to that. Really quickly, where's the best place for people to find you and your podcast? Well, I know, but you're important. But right now we have to hear what they're saying. I'm assuming there's going to be fireworks.
Appreciate it. Hey, podcast is Hold These Truths. Thanks for the shout out.
Hold These Truths, absolutely. And of course, Instagram, you make some funny videos. You actually create some campaign ads that don't make me go, I gotta watch through my fingers. So I appreciate that about you. I hope we have more of you out there. We need you. Thank you so much, Representative Crenshaw. We'll talk with you soon, brother.
Good to see you.
Be well. Okay, the Trump, I don't know, who is this exactly, but she looks cold. It's only coming through my left headphone.
That's on their end.
Oh, is this from CNN?
Thank you, and I'd like to introduce...
Son of a bitch! We missed it because we had Dan Crenshaw?
No,
Crenshaw.
There are several people speaking.
Oh, great.
Giuliani's back there.
For the remainder until you all realize that President Trump has won this state. We have now officially declared the state of Pennsylvania Trump country. Until the last vote is counted, General Bondi and I will be here. I'm sure we'll be in constant communication with you. We will be releasing that video shortly.
Was that Bondi? Was that Pam Bondi?
Thank you very much.
I don't know her face.
Sorry, for people watching, I don't see anything that much.
Gentlemen, I'll have him introduce himself. This is a gentleman who volunteered 2 days of his time in order to do a civic duty and was obstructed in a horrible way by the crooked Democrat machine of Philadelphia, which really has been around so long. It's a shame.
That was a weird intro.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Thank you, Mayor.
This is just. I just want to set some horrible vibes. Your microphone, sir.
From 7 a.m. until just after midnight. Back again this morning, just before 8 a.m. until around 2:30, and as has been described very well, we're there, supposedly observing, but we can't see.
Oh wow!
We're further away than I am from you all here. hundreds, at least 100 feet away from open ballots that go back out of our sight. We can't see them. We don't know what's happening to them. It's just, there's no way for us to meaningfully observe the process from where they have us.
Yeah, and this is magic, too, by the way, from 538. 2 more batches of Pennsylvania votes, 23,000 votes in Philadelphia, all for Biden. 5,300 votes in Luzerne County, 4,000 of them for Biden.
From the count. Those are ballots that were counted in violation of the law without an observation. And since this is a novel procedure, this mail-in thing, observation is particularly important to satisfy the possibility that you can defraud. This isn't as if you come in and show an identification. So that's what we're going to be seeking here and in Wisconsin, and quite possibly nationally, if there's as much evidence in
And keep in mind, too, we've talked about this before with the voter fraud or the ineptitude. The two can kind of be one and the same, Reg. Like we've talked about some states, there can be no signature on the ballot, or the signature doesn't necessarily have to match the signature they have on file. That's one of those things that someone who's observing should be able to watch for. If they can't even see through the glass because of wallpaper, or these guys are saying that they're further than from me to you across this room, how are you going to be able to check for a signature? How are you going to be able to check that these ballots are authentic? Not to mention they could also be ballots of people who may be deceased. We've had those examples here in Texas. I mean, this is something, there's ineptitude, and then the ineptitude of the Postal Service and of mail-in voting can eventually lead to outright fraud. And this is where you're seeing these absolute insane 23,000 votes in Philadelphia, all for Biden. That doesn't happen. 23,277, all for Joe Biden.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that, you know, we're relying on a lot of these people who are counting the votes, or maybe citizen volunteers and these election workers, and you sort of think we're at a point where Democrats are willing to burn down cities. Would they really, refrain from just throwing some ballots in the trash can or whatever, right? I think that's what people, it's become so polarized, and especially on the left, they are so against law and order, and they don't see anything wrong with, assaulting people, even shooting people, burning down car dealerships, smashing windows. And so you just think, well, good. If they're willing to do all that, are they really going to say, well, I can't do anything to these ballots because I'm a good election worker? It just seems that atmosphere, it just, I don't know. It's unsettling.
Well, I do have some good news. My cold seems to have dissipated.
Nice. Oh, that's good.
I'm just having a little bit of a lozenge now, but it's moved away from the nose.
Maybe wonderful. Maybe Jocko was right. You just need to not sleep.
Right.
No sleep.
From Jocko. Oh, I thought Half Asian Bill had left. Podcast. Hey, can you bring up some of those examples? I know that have been in Discord there, Reg, of some of the ballots, from what I understand, with no names on there being returned. If you can bring those up, Reg, because what I would like to do is actually, as you do that, I'm going to go to our segment here that we had on the mail-in voting fraud. So we had the number up to a total of, what was the total number here? Oh, it's not showing up. It was about 2.7 million. For example, in California, you have, we have 2.7 million, and a lot of them are because either ballots were sent out to people where they didn't live anymore. Some people received 2 ballots. Some ballots had signatures that didn't match the signatures, or they just had no signatures at all. And from what I understand, we're seeing more of this going on right now. I think, Reg, that's actually, I guess Tokenawa, and you'll be looking for those there somewhere there in our channel.
Looks like it.
I think there's one right here. What was that?
I brought those up earlier, so I'm trying to find them again.
No, these are more recent ones here, I think. Are they not? A more recent example of, hold on a second, I want to make sure that I get this right. Oh, that's only use the ballots in black ink, projecting a win for Michigan. No, there's something I just missed. There was something that just came up here. 1 second.
Are you thinking of the?
Oh, here you go, from Jason Wilkes. No-name ballots. There's a picture right here from Jason Wilkes on Twitter.
I think it's actually a clip.
Oh, is it a clip?
Let's see it.
Okay. Can you bring up that clip? Let me know when you got it, Tokenawan. I'm looking at this clip here right now. I thought you had left. I'm glad you're still here, Half Asian Bill.
Yeah. I knew you were going to think I was going to leave, and I thought about telling you no, but then I thought you'd be happy when you saw me again.
Well, that feels nice to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. A little
I have no idea when we end this broadcast because this is not going to be done for a while.
No. I'm gonna leave for another 7 hours and then come back. So will I see you at 3 a.m. or?
You know what's funny is I'm actually really not upset about Joe. I wouldn't be upset about, and I said this about Joe Biden winning. What upsets me more is, like Dan Crenshaw just said, I just don't have any trust in it.
Yeah.
I wasn't nearly as upset when Obama won against McCain or won against Romney. I'm more so upset that it feels like one's been pulled over on the American people right now. That's what's upsetting more. So it's not that someone won; it's that this doesn't seem genuine.
Yeah, because when Obama won, it was like the system. You assume the system worked, but that it didn't go in your favor.
Right.
Maybe we'll get him next time.
There are just
if
so
the
many
system's
examples.
Broken, that's a different
of errors all across the board. It's just
there are just too many. Do you have that clip there, Token Allen? Okay, let's show this clip. Apparently, this is about ballots with no names on there or something or other. Let's see. This is another who just came in.
During lunch.
I got you.
So,
okay.
I have.
And what
I've
have you seen?
I've seen ballots that don't belong to anybody. They don't show up in the voter registration. There's no name attached to them.
And what are they doing with those ballots?
I'm challenging them, and
Okay.
they're supposed to put them in a box to be then be evaluated. But then multiple ballots that have several different numbers. One person with different numbers. We have whole lists of them. We're writing everything down all day long.
So are they improperly filled out and you're looking to disqualify them?
And where is this? Is this
Improperly
Michigan?
They have no name if they don't have a home, or if the person was born in 1921 but registered to vote in 1900. That kind of doesn't make sense.
So, but that's not on the ballot. When you vote, your ballot is just the balls.
I like how
you
she
have on there.
softened
What
it.
are
That
you seeing?
kind
Are
of
you
doesn't
seeing
make
people's
sense.
registration
And by
on
kind
there?
of, I mean
So
it's
on the
insane.
tables, you have the
Like it'd
ballot,
have to be
and you are
retarded.
able
Look,
to
she's
see
keeping
next
an
to
open
them,
mind for
on a
vampires. All right.
on a computer
I like
screen, whose ballot
Good for
that
her.
is.
Sometimes
Yeah, and this is in
ballot
Detroit.
itself has no name, but the ballot is still
I recognize that hall. I feel like we've been talking about it all afternoon.
So, in other words, she's one of the few people who managed to make it behind the Bristol board curtain, and when she is trying to challenge these things, they're just not putting them aside. There needs to be a recount. Keep in mind here. That's enough. I think we can. We kind of got the point. There needs to be a recount. Places like Michigan and Wisconsin. Not for the reason that people thought there were recounts in Florida, there might have been some confusion over ballots, and that really the issue with Florida was that it was too close to call. And I understand that. The issue here is we need a full recount of every single ballot so that someone can look, and it needs to be a recount by hand, so that people can look through these and go, oh, this is the wrong signature. Oh, this was done with a Sharpie, was actually a vote for Trump. Right now, it's not that it's too close for comfort, it's that there is a huge portion of these ballots that can't be trusted. And there shouldn't be a problem with recounting those at this point. Again, we should assume that this was something that was going to take place because this is unprecedented in an amount of mail-in ballots and different ways of people voting. What did you expect was going to happen? For crying out loud, when you get a new iPhone, you don't know how to work the new software for a little bit. What do you think is going to happen?
It's always a little buggy.
This isn't something that Republicans just came up with as an excuse for, we need... No, we've been saying this for months, that this is how it would go if you had mass mail-in voting. We've been saying it would be a mess, so it is a mess, and it's not surprising.
Yeah, that's really, I guess, what this isn't surprising to anybody. It is surprising to me, though, that it flipped entirely in that span of darkness when everyone was asleep.
It's a little questionable.
That, to me, is the weirdest part in all of this is, hey, everyone, go to bed, we'll reconvene. What didn't they say? They were going to reconvene at 9 or at 10?
Yeah,
something like
9
that?
or 10 in the morning.
And then 45 to an hour 15 later, we're back, and we found 120,000 votes for Biden. Well, how'd that happen? Well, you shouldn't have gone to sleep. You screwed up. You trusted us.
Can't believe you closed your eyes.
What do you think? I guess is this about as good a time as any here to probably call it a day?
What needs to happen? Like what could happen in the future? That might be a good way to wrap it up.
Well, I mean, what could happen in the future
with the map?
With the map?
Yeah.
All right. Well, here, let's take this map. Let's put on Georgia, North Carolina. Let's give that to Trump. So Georgia, North Carolina to Trump. I don't know if someone's there with a map. Can someone?
Somebody's probably sprinting over.
Okay. Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Okay, that's 268.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you did earlier, Audio Wade, where
I
you
don't
had
know
it at
either.
270, but I'm going to have to beat you with a rubber hose. Then he's going to have to win one of those, or there's a recount in Michigan where people see some stuff that maybe some foul play there in Wayne County.
Switch it up.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think there's. I think there's more of a chance of him winning Nevada than I think Arizona at this point.
Nevada is so close. I mean, what is it? 8,000, 7,000 votes. I mean, it's a pretty narrow situation there. So
I'm kind of surprised but what does worry me about Arizona was 80-something%. There's a 3-point spread, and it actually just closed a little bit. A 4-point spread in Arizona. Is there something there that we don't know? Why are they not calling Arizona? Because that's one of those things that you would look, certainly when you look at the other states that they've called for Biden.
And why is it taking so long for them to count?
Right. Arizona. Is that the Sharpie thing? Do they just have really stupid people counting?
Well, and even in North Carolina and Georgia, why is it taking so long for them to count?
I know North Carolina was going to be a little bit tougher because, if I'm not mistaken, they weren't going to count any of the mail-in ballots until after the same-day ballots.
Okay.
So North Carolina doesn't surprise me so much. I was saying North Carolina was one that might take a little while. And Pennsylvania we knew would take a while.
I mean, here I'll tell you, just on a county by county breakdown, some of the large, one of the largest, actually I think the largest county, Maricopa County, is 1.6 million total votes. I think either we have or expected, and they're only at 86%. Cococino, 86. It's a Biden lead. Pima County, 89% counted, 22 for Biden. But then you also have some very pro-Trump ones, though they're on the smaller side. You get Greenlee. And a few other counties. So there are a number.
Have a majority of those counties a majority of the votes been counted in those counties?
I mean, a majority has, but not. I mean, they're sub 90, so you still got a bunch of those that are out. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different counties that have anywhere from 5 to 8% or actually 5 to 10% that are still out.
And keep in mind too, Maricopa County is a big ass county. As far as physically, Maricopa County, it's like the main county in Arizona. Yeah. And so that is an example, maybe unlike Kenosha, where you could have portions of that county, Maricopa, that are, it's almost like you could fit 2 or 3, maybe even 4, sometimes from what I've heard, at least like 2 or 3 typical counties in Maricopa County. You may have a portion of that county that is very conservative, and that could be the remaining, whatever it is, 10%, 15%.
It's a very non-homogenous county with a large area, very different neighborhoods. So when you get precincts coming in, you can't say, well, look, the first 10 precincts were X, and so the rest will be X. You've got to recognize the difference between the
I almost wonder how the police
county.
patrol Maricopa County. I mean, you must have a crazy fleet over there because it's huge. So there's something there that they're worried about that they're not. Again, it would be nice to know, but the media doesn't feel it's their job to educate us. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Ben Shapiro has some of these numbers from the Trump campaign, and I think this makes sense to me. He says, so here are the latest stats I'm hearing via the Trump campaign. They're sounding pretty confident Trump has a serious shot at taking Arizona and Pennsylvania. We already know about Pennsylvania that it's looking pretty good, but in Arizona, Biden leads by 93,000 votes. There were 605,000 votes cast on Election Day, right? And so that is what we're counting right now. Trump only needs to win 57.7%, and Team Trump says they're pulling in 62% in Maricopa County and 72 to 80% in other
No, they haven't counted Election Day. I think what he's saying is they've counted the mail-in first. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So what's remaining on Election Day? So in other words, if those numbers are true, then Trump probably will win.
Yeah. So he needs to win 57% of the day of voting.
Right. Yes, and they're saying that he's winning 63.
Yeah.
So one thing I was going to say...
Thank you, Ben Shapiro, for doing the job that Wolf Bean's Blitzer wouldn't.
But what are we really expecting from Wolf? I mean, you gotta throw the guy a ball that he can hit.
That's the one thing I remember from 2016 is that I think it's King, the guy that was running all the different stats, and Wolf Blitzer, he was trying to translate it for him, and Blitzer just couldn't get it.
Yeah, no. So that is right. I wonder, is there anything that we can find in Nevada? Has Nevada mainly counted the mail-in votes? And what remains? Is it the same day votes? Is it Election Day votes? Because if that's the case, Nevada could also surprisingly go to Trump as well. If it's the flip side, if they've counted same day votes and that's why it's close, and then they're going to count the mail-in votes or the early voting afterward, then it would be pretty much a lock for Joe Biden.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nirvana. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Nevada is counting the mail-in ballots after.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems correct. I would be I'm surprised that it's this close, but I would still be surprised if it went for Trump.
Yeah, especially if they haven't counted the mail-in vote, and that's what's coming in after. That would be a significant majority.
Yeah, no doubt that'll go. That'll be left.
But how does it happen that Philadelphia, unless this is coming from, I believe it was from Nate Silver, right? If someone can bring this up from Nate Silver, the Philadelphia, how does that come in? 23,277 votes in Philadelphia, all for Biden. How does that happen? Now, are they just saying that that's 23,277 out of 30,000 votes? Doesn't sound like it. Sounds to me like they're saying 2 more batches of Pennsylvania votes were reported, and it's just entirely for Biden.
Yeah, unless there's some strange way that they're just reporting for one candidate at a time, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. And they're saying with 83% of the expected vote in, Trump's lead in Pennsylvania is now just below 6 points. So I don't know. I really don't know. But again, the problem, and this is also a reason that they want you to live in big cities, because they want you on public transportation. They want you to be dependent on the government. They want you to have to use subway cars. They don't want you to have your own cars. And it's a lot easier for them to control. This is the issue with a huge centralized federal government. A mistake is catastrophic. Right? Let's just say we didn't have states. Let's use that as an example, okay? Let's say we didn't have 50 states. Let's say we only had one government. It was a federal government for this whole landmass. And something went wrong with voting. That's a catastrophe. Yeah. And there's less accountability. Right? That's what people are. The same thing if people just say, oh, you should just go by the popular vote. That really can be a disaster. That's why we have a constitution. That's why we have states' rights. That's where we get into the difference between federalism or statism, or as that Change My Mind student there at TCU tried to act like they were the same thing. It's like saying, I like cold food, but I prefer hot. Well, hold on a second. That's not the same. I'm a federalist and I'm a statist. What are you saying? What are you saying? You're a federalist statist? You don't know what those terms mean. You're not a Republican Democrat. You're just an idiot. So the point that I'm making here is there's a reason that we have a fractured government. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that we actually have a fractured governing body in the United States where different states can decide what's right for them. And that's why I also don't think it's a bad thing for there to be political division in the country. Now, I don't want to have civil wars, of course. I don't want there to be violence in the streets, of course. But too late. Not coming from the right, but it's coming from the left. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with people are like, oh, we're too divided in this country. There's more that unites us than divides us. Not anymore. Not anymore in this country. Sorry, I don't agree with you. You believe in abortion up until and after birth. You believe in 62% income tax. You believe in open borders and free health care, taxpayers funded for illegal immigrants. No, I'm sorry. We don't have. You believe that we should just have anyone who can toss a ballot in a box and they can be postmarked 5 days late. No. Listen, I'm sorry. What do we have in common with? What do I have in common with Joe Biden's Democrats today, with Kamala Harris? I have more. That people want to tell me that I have more in common with Kamala Harris than I have differences because we live under the United States of America, which Kamala Harris fundamentally dislikes? No. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a healthy thing to say, hey, we have these disagreements. I think at one point in time, we were all Americans and we all wanted to improve this country. But now we have a portion of this country who want to fundamentally transform the United States of America into something else. And you hear that rhetoric. If you went back to JFK, even if you go back